Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 323 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney. From our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family, we are recording first time ever, I believe, from Grinelli's place. Biz is here. G's here.
That's
What's on the
pad?
screen? Dude, unbelievable.
What are we paying this guy?
Jesus, Rolexes and that unit of a room?
I'm a step ahead of everyone, and I said this before. It's COVID times. Times are tough for everyone right now, but what I did is I went apartment hunting. I knew the prices were down in New York City, so I went apartment hunting, and me and Rudy found a great spot. It's down $1,500 from last year.
Let me ask you something. You said you think above the rest. Is that what you said?
I'm a step ahead.
You don't think anyone else did that?
No, I actually don't. I think everyone else moved out of New York City. All the apartments are empty. I think no one else did that, actually.
All right.
And that's why I got a great deal. And I'm happy to have you guys here.
It is a nice pad.
I got some Pink Whitney decor, too. So,
Whit, you got to check out the roof deck, my man. I know you don't like community
roof
decks.
Does he share one like Portnoy did in Boston?
He does, but it's an incredible view. I almost shit my pants when I went up there. Not dissing G. It's just an unreal view of Manhattan. Good shit.
Yeah,
What do
no,
you
I
mean?
saw the swipe up you did, and I could tell right away that's money.
When you say you almost shit your pants, because are you afraid of heights?
Actually, yeah, I am. It's funny. We talked about that last night. I have a fear of heights, but I try to conquer it, and I still have it. Like, I've gone bungee jumping a bunch of times. I rode the roller coaster at the top of the Stratosphere in Vegas.
Skydiving.
No, I haven't done
all-time
that.
fear.
But it's funny. It hasn't chased the fear. Like, I still, even last night.
He's like, I was a window washer at one point, too.
I won't even walk to the ledge. Like, I won't even get too close to it. But, yeah, I do have a fear of heights, but at the same time, I do try to conquer it. But, yeah, I tried to tell G and his girl to watch King Kong, the original, last night with the Empire State Building right there. But he's like, oh, I did. I'm like, no, not the one in 1976, the one in 1933. He's like, I didn't know there was one.
Grinelli goes in the kitchen, Biz, comes back. RA's talking to his girl. She just looks scared, worried. And he's like, what happened? She's like, he keeps telling me to watch Ted Lasso, and he's getting angrier and angrier.
Well, he was talking about his bets to her, and then when he left, he was like, I love that guy, but I don't know a word that he just said.
Me neither.
Hey, join the club. We worked with him for 5 years.
Exactly.
We just got back from Jupiter, Florida. Well, the Whit Dog's still down there. Me and Biz and G flew back yesterday. Very productive week. We had one sandbagger. We did a mini golf thing, a couple of live streams, shitload of interviews. Actually, I'll mention it now. We got, not Las Vegas, Vegas Golden Knight, Mark Stone. I would say he got a Chiclets bump since we recorded, but he's been doing this all year long. And we also have Jeff Marek on, Canadian TV host up in
The Wizard.
NHL stuff. The Wizard. Awesome dude. We'll get to that later. Whit, what was your take on our week in Jupiter? Successful or what?
I thought it was very successful. I thought we grinded, and I know it sounds like grinding. I know you were not digging ditches here, but we got a bunch of stuff to bank, and they're all not really time sensitive. You know, some of those interviews we can kind of drop them whenever, and I had a blast. The sandbagger was very entertaining, very intense golf match. I'll say that. Jose, he's gonna kill me. Theodore, former MVP of the National Hockey League, and Ed Jovanovski. Could have won a Norris, gold medalist, amazing career. And I think that people are going to enjoy that one. The other thing I wanted to say about Jupiter, it was a pleasure having you guys here. What a classy place this is. And we had a couple nice dinners, little cookout action. I love that we got a bunch of work done. I will finish off with this. We used to go and do those trips 3, 4, 5 nights and bank interviews and then party all night. Now, I've been asleep for 36 hours pretty much since you guys left. I'm an old man who can't handle the heat anymore. So even no partying, I'm gassed.
I couldn't agree more. I've slept the last 2 days since I've been here in NYC, but ultimately a very successful trip. We got some great interviews that we'll be rolling out over the next month, as well as we got to still release one of the AZ sandbaggers, and then this one will probably come out in a few months. So I'm excited for you guys to hear these interviews, and we got a couple of them coming up here, as you mentioned, Marek and Stone that we got. And let's get to what else is going on. Unfortunate news, of course.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what I should go the PFT comment that Donnie does root because I look like absolute trash right now. I'm exhausted too, but I'll take it for the team and look like trash. One other thing too, Biz, do you want to talk about the live stream before we move on to the news?
Okay, what about it? Oh, yeah.
RA disappeared for an hour.
Yeah, where did you go?
Well, I went to roll a stick for the crew, so I was taking it for the team. And while I was there, I needed to use the facilities, and it was the other building, so it was a 10-minute walk to get there. And it was nice to be missed, though. I was glad.
What
to
are you
get
walking
back.
backwards?
I had to go all the way to the other hotel, and I left this part out. I was feeling pretty good that night, so I get back to the room, I wrap a stick, and I thought I put it behind my ear, and then I get to the elevator, I'm like, reach up, I'm like, oh fuck, where is it? And I'm like, I had all my glasses on, so I'm literally squinting at the floor with my flashlight on my phone looking. I go back to the room, I can't find it, I'm ripping the room apart. I go to wrap another one, then I go back to everything again. All of a sudden, I look down, I realized I had a fucking T-shirt pocket right here. I had put it there before I left the room. I was feeling a little too funky.
So
I
get the surveillance from the hotel in Jupiter on this fiasco. But hey, I'm glad you brought
like,
up
is that guy on acid? They're like, no, it's just RA. He lost a joint.
Yeah, basically. So either way, that's what I was helping out the squad. I like to think. Obviously, we're sponsored by Pink Whitney. We do want to let you know hockey is back, and you're going to have to find your shot. And what better way to do that than with Pink Whitney? From January 1st through March 26th, we are giving Chiclets fans a chance to win a custom Pink Whitney shot machine. All you have to do is post a picture of you and your Pink Whitney and use the hashtags Pink Whitney, Take Your Shot, and Sweepstakes. We'll be picking winners from the U.S. and Canada every other week, so make sure to get creative with your submission. Like Biz said, it's tough news to start off. We obviously like to have fun on the show, but some things are bigger than this show. Canada's hockey dad, Walter Gretzky, died at the age of 82. He had been having some health issues the last few years, had Parkinson's, some other issues. Wayne said at his eulogy Saturday he had taken a fall and basically kind of regressed from there. We obviously want to give our deepest, most heartfelt condolences to the whole Gretzky clan. It's obviously a huge loss, but it was some beautiful scenes at the funeral as the procession was going by. Biz, the whole community out there giving stick taps. I mean, I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. Wayne gave a beautiful eulogy Saturday, which could only have family there, which is, under the current times is tough for a lot of friends who couldn't get there. And that's not an easy thing to do, to get there and, talk about your dad. He said he was a remarkable man who loved life, loved family. We'd be a way better world if there were so many more people like my dad. I mean, that's a great testament right there. I want to ask Biz, did you ever meet Wally?
I met him. I talked about it in the Marek interview because Marek spoke on it as well. He had some great words. First time I ever met him, I was in Brantford at a roller hockey tournament, and every single tweet that I saw about people describing when they'd met him and their first experience with him, that was mine. He was surrounded by people. He was smiling. He was giving out autographs, made everybody feel special that was there. And it sucks, guys. It's this is it sucks. It's a tough way to start the episode. I know a lot of you people out there are hurting as well, because this is a guy who did a lot for the game of hockey. And as Wayne has said too, like, it was probably hard for Wayne to give everybody his time and energy while going through his career and doing what he did. But I feel like he took a lot of that pressure off Wayne as well, just for how big of an ambassador to the game he was, especially in Canada. I mean, he's Canadian royalty, and just at the fact that he was so humble the entire time, dealing with his kid being a world-renowned superstar and treating everybody the way that he did. It just, it's a horrible loss for the hockey world, for all of Canada, and really the entire planet. More people need to be like Walter Gretzky, and it's sad.
Well said. I think I might repeat myself in the Marek interview. If I do, I apologize. A few days ago, but I was touched to see, I don't know if it was Wayne or somebody else in the family who mentioned, like, it's comforting to know he's back with our mom, and he's in like a better place, because he was really fighting Parkinson's, among other things. So, that's a guy who was like fighting as hard as possible. And I think for Wayne and all of his brothers and his sisters and his brother to just basically be able to talk about him with smiles on their faces, because that's what he did. He just made everyone else around him happier.
Well said, Whit. But like I mentioned, we do have Jeff Marek on, so I think we should bring on Jeff now. He know Wally better than obviously any of us, and he had some good things to say, as well as some other topics that going on. So we're going to go to an early interview this week, and without further ado, we're going to bring on our friend Jeff Marek. Well, I'm very happy to welcome our next guest back to the show, as it's been a minute since his last appearance. He's the NHL host on Sportsnet up in Canada, and one half of the excellent 31 Thoughts podcast. And it's a pleasure to have him back here on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, Jeff Marek. How you been, my friend?
All right, I'm great. Whit, Paul, Grinelli, how are you guys all doing today?
We're doing great. We got the hockey encyclopedia on, Biz.
That's right. Just put a quarter in them. Just put a quarter in them.
Just wind them up. Wind them up.
Just like the beds on the road.
Here's the thing, and I've worked plenty with Whit, and he'll tell you my secret to all of this, and don't be fooled, is if you're not sure about something, say it loud. That's the only way you get by. I'm not sure about this fact here. I better say it loud so people think that I really know what I'm saying.
We do it for 3 hours once a week. It's called the Spittin Chiclets podcast.
Loudest guy wins as we're screaming over one another.
I remember very specifically when I started working with Whit, some key advice that I gave him. Do you remember what I gave you, Whit, when we phoned our first days working together when you were back with us at Sportsnet?
I don't, but these guys will tell you my memory's trash.
I said the key to all of this is sincerity.
Yes,
Whit.
yes, you did.
And once you learn how to fake that, then you've got it made, man.
Ain't that the truth?
Hey, I have a quick question off the top, and I should have probably asked Elliot and even you before this. Why 31 Thoughts? Where did the name come from?
31.
That just comes from Elliot's blog. So Elliot's blog's name is 31 Thoughts. It used to be 30 Thoughts, and then there came Team 31 in Vegas, and Team 32 is on the horizon, so I expect there'll be another branding change. But that's an old blog that Elliot started writing when he was working at CBC Sports. It was a weekly, much like it is now, and it was the whole idea was one thought per NHL team, and that tiny little blog that he started at cbcsports.ca turned into this, whatever this thing is now, with his blog and the podcast and multimedia, and it's So, but all it is just a reflection of his blog. That's it, Biz.
You guys do an excellent job. I just listened to the one, of course, that was led off with the Walter Gretzky passing. Hockey lost its father.
You know what? I thought a lot about Walter last night after we did that podcast, and it was late, and then we had to cover off the Daryl Sutter news in Calgary as well. But I remember going to bed and thinking about Walter, and thinking about every exchange that I ever had with him. And it's a true sign of a gentleman, where after every conversation you have with someone, you feel better about yourself and you just feel good. And I've always said, one of the greatest compliments you can pay anybody is when you say their name, do you smile? I think I mentioned this on the podcast this morning. I think it's impossible, Biz, to say the name Walter Gretzky without smiling. And I thought about a couple of things last night. I thought about how the hockey world would be different, like completely changed. Like we all have breaks, moments in our lives where we make a decision, it takes us down a certain path. It either works out or it doesn't. But I always wondered, what would the hockey world be like if Walter Gretzky didn't make that backyard rink? Like, you think about everything from Wayne's presence in the game to, the trade to LA and Southern expansion in the United States. You can take so much of the NHL that exists right now, and even the future of the NHL, because we're still, surfing on this Gretzky wave in the United States. So much of that comes from one single decision, and that's Walter Gretzky's decision to build a backyard rink for his kids. I thought so much about that last night that, the effects are still being felt today just by him making that one. So if you're a hockey parent right now and you're on the fence, do I make a rink or not?
Do it.
Just do it.
You never know.
You never know, right? I don't know that Walter ever thought like, okay, I'm pouring some water here in the backyard. My kid's going to turn into this juggernaut that smashes records in the NHL, and we talk about him up here like he invented oxygen. But if you're thinking about a rink, folks, just do it.
I think it's, without ever having met Walter, but being around the Oilers organization and hearing so many different stories about Wayne and his dad, what to me always seems amazing is that his dad really had no sort of ego. And like, you see all these crazy hockey parents and they talk about how good their kid was or is, and I get the sense he never did that. It was all about, like, my son enjoys the game at a young age, and then he became the great one. It was just, he was there along for the ride. He didn't try to say this was all me. He didn't try to toot his own kid's horn, and I think it goes a long way in showing the greatest to ever do its father was still humble and really true to himself, and I just tried to raise good kids.
And that's why he signed that first contract, the 20-year deal with the Edmonton Oilers, right? Like, there was some, Wayne was sort of on do I do this? Do I not do this? And it was Walter who was like, look, we come from pretty meager beginnings here in this family. This is money that we've never seen before. This is a good thing. You do it. Walter himself, by the way, was a pretty good hockey player. Junior B, you know what Woodstock is, Biz? So he played Junior B in Woodstock. Was a good track athlete as well. Ultimately was too small in his era to go anywhere. But the one thing, like, the Gretzkys are from Eastern European descent. And a lot of the training that Walter did with all of his kids was all Soviet style. So you look at all those Soviet drills all through the 70s when, in North America, everybody was a table hockey player, right? Like you had your lane and that was it. Yeah. No, I'm a winger, and if my stick can't touch the boards, I'm out of position.
What's a regroup? What's a regroup?
All that, a regroup? What are you talking about?
You're going backwards, for Christ's sake.
But all those drills, like, were all Soviet style drills that he taught all those kids, and that I still maintain is why Wayne Gretzky played differently than everybody else and looked differently than everybody else. Everyone's going north south, and he's kind of going all over the ice, and the area behind the net that became his office. He found a way to keep himself safe on the ice. He found a way to protect himself on the ice, be creative on the ice, use everybody around him on the ice. And Ron McLean was on TV last night, and he told a really interesting story. Walter was always interested in Wayne's peripheral vision, and not just seeing what's right in front of you, but seeing everything around you. And I thought of a story that Marty McSorley told me years ago. He said one of the rarest pictures you will ever see of Wayne Gretzky is him skating along the bench. And I said, why is that? And he said Wayne never liked skating along the bench because he wanted to see everyone who was on the ice. And if he was close to the bench, he couldn't see guys coming on and going off. So he'd always like to be away from the bench when he was moving. And that's got to be a Walter thing. And McLean told this story last night about how one day, I'm not sure how old Wayne was, all of a sudden he shows up and he's playing with white gloves. Okay, he's got the white mitts, and you know what that means in men's league. Like, that's targets. Yeah. Like, the guy with the white mitts, like, we're on that guy. And someone asked me, like, Walter, why do you have Wayne Gretzky out there? Why do you have your son playing in white gloves? Everyone else has got like either black or blue, green, whatever the team colors is, and he's got the target gloves on, these white gloves. He said, Walter, your kid's going to be targeted every time he's on the ice. Everybody's going to be trying to get him. And Walter said, yeah, I know that. He's got to learn how to play like that. Like, that's how Walter wanted to train his kids. Yeah. He wasn't just, I'm going to protect him, or to your point, I'm going to big him up, and we're jumping from team to team to team, best offer and all that. He was concerned about making an entire athlete, an entire hockey player. And he did, listen, you can make the argument he was probably the best hockey trainer ever because look at who he trained.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was filming him as well in the backyard. They would film the drills and then they would go over the tape and
way before video,
before.
Oh yeah,
doing stuff like that. He was ahead of his time. But
I met him in Brantford one time. He was coaching a roller hockey team. I'll never forget it. I was playing for a Niagara regional team, and we went there and we were in the lobby and just surrounded by so many people, big smile on his face, and exactly every single tweet I saw about him, like, that was my experience right there. It's like,
what the great thing about that is, Biz? Everybody's got a story.
Everyone.
Like, the wonderful thing, like, spend some time today. Anyone listening to this right now, spend some time today on Twitter and, just type in Walter Gretzky's trending. So just click on the trend and you will read wonderful stories, because everybody has one with Walter Gretzky. To your point, Biz, like, everyone had those conversations. He never walked away from conversations. He waited until everyone had their talk with Walter and the autograph and the picture. And that's the big thing. Like, everybody has a picture of them with Walter Gretzky.
Yeah,
like, I never saw him turn down anything. I never saw, like, there have been so many events like I was at with Walter, mainly charity events. And, after 20 or 30 minutes, like, okay, Walter, it's time to get moving here. We got to go. And he would just stay, like, hours extra. So everybody got what they wanted. Like, he would not leave until everybody got, their autograph or their picture. And you know what? Something else that just sort of dawns on me about Walter. It was really big in Canada when Wayne Gretzky got traded. It's still, like, every single time that day rolls around, it is a news story. It's the blank anniversary of the Gretzky trade. So Gretzky goes to Los Angeles, Southern expansion in the United States, and it becomes, huge. And it was the right move for hockey, but it really wounded the ego of Canada. And I think that one of the reasons why Walter was so beloved is, obviously Walter stayed and he filled that void in some way. That Gretzky void that was Wayne then became Walter. And everybody's got the W. Gretzky autograph now. Walter stayed here. Walter was at games. How many times did you see Walter around when you played with the Oilers? Like Walter became...
He'd be in Toronto. He'd be at games. He'd be at Leafs games. You did see him a lot. He made sure to keep himself out there. And you're right. He stayed in Canada, and there was no missing Walter Gretzky even when Wayne left. Yeah,
it was almost like he filled this sort of void that a lot of people felt when Gretzky left. And I always felt that. He had a stroke in 1991, and we always, Biz, you just mentioned how happy he always is and the smiles that Walter had. I remember getting some really interesting wisdom from someone years and years ago, and I think about it when I think about Walter and how happy he always was and how giving and how kind and considerate he always was. I remember once someone told me, and this quote has always stuck with me, we're born with two lives. We're all born with two lives, and our second life begins when we realize we only have one. And after Walter had his stroke, I think he realized, hold on a second, we really only do have one life here.
Yeah,
and I'm going to spend it the best way that I possibly can.
Yeah. That's very well said. Yeah. Very well said. And we wanted to shout out the Gretzky family. And there's so much else going on around the NHL, and with you covering it. And the North Division must be exciting this year because you guys are covering all of Canada forever, right? Every year it's all the Canadian teams you guys cover, but this year it's like, wow, they're only playing each other. And the big news out west is Calgary and the change of coach. Jeff Ward's fired. Daryl Sutter's brought in, not for interim. He signs a 3-year contract extension. Where do you sit on this? Did you see it coming? RA called it. We were talking about coaches that were on the hot seat, and there was odds on one of the Vegas sites about possible coaches who be fired. RA goes, I think the guy who isn't even on there is going to go next, Jeff Ward. So he saw it. But where are you sitting on Calgary? Can they kind of fix things there?
Daryl's a short-term fix guy, so if they can, Daryl's probably the guy to do it. And good for you, RA, because you know what I've gone into this season assuming? I've gone into this season assuming that nobody wants to spend money. And nobody wants to pay people to not do their job. That's why I was surprised at the Claude Julien dismissal. That's why I kind of go into this season saying, well, there's only a couple of teams that really spend in the off season. Montreal is one, Vegas is another, two teams that really, went for it and spent money. But I thought in season, trades are going to be hard because no one wants to pick up money. Money's always going to have to wash in every deal. And also, I didn't think there'd be a lot of coaches fired because nobody wants to bring in big tickets when there's no one in the stands. But I think that, especially in the Canadian division right now, there's a lot of teams that might be looking at this season and saying, we got a shot here.
Yeah.
Like, we got a real shot. And if we can get out of this division, like Ottawa's taken themselves out, Vancouver's, taken themselves out of this thing. We have a shot at, if we just get in, we have a shot at doing something here. And if we get out of our division, then we only have to face, two teams that aren't in our division. Like, if you're going to win the Stanley Cup, you only face off against two teams you didn't play against all season long. This is, as you guys well know and have talked about, this is unique in the history of the game. And that's why I think, for a team like the Calgary Flames, where this might be the last hurrah of this group, like, this could be like, okay, if it doesn't work this time, we're making some decisions on Monahan and Gaudreau and et cetera, all the way down the lineup. I think, you're Brad Treliving. You're saying, I want to give these guys the best possible shot at it. And given that trades are so hard to make right now, this may have been Brad Treliving's only move.
So, some people might have been surprised too, but I think when Los Angeles hired him, he hadn't been coaching for 6 years, correct? And the last time
after San Jose,
and of course the Dean Lombardi connection, and that's why he brought him. You mentioned the trade aspect because by the time I think you guys were talking more on 31 Thoughts of the fact that Dubois ended up going to Winnipeg, and then he ends up getting injured in one of his first games back. Just because 2.5 weeks out of this season, if you're going to be trading a major piece, because obviously you think a major piece is going to be, what coming back is going to what gets it done. Yep. That's ultimately probably why they decided to go with Daryl Sutter, correct?
Yeah. Like if you're trying to make a trade right now, if you're a Canadian team and you're trying to make a trade, you're looking at a 2-week quarantine, then getting someone into your system. And then at that point, are they up to speed? Injury is always a factor. The Pierre-Luc Dubois point, as you point out, Biz, is very real and very scary. Plus, if you're neck and neck with a team like the Montreal Canadiens, as Calgary is for a playoff spot, you're devaluing your lineup right away with any deal you make. So you're losing someone or maybe 2 people off your roster, and then you're waiting a couple of weeks to get someone in, and that's a chance for the other teams to make up ground on you. It's a bizarre season. I do understand why it was made. I do understand that it was Darryl. Listen, coaches are always this is always pendulum swings, right? You guys played, you know how it works. Yep. Oh, here comes the hardo. Oh, hold on, he was too tough on the guys.
We need the easy guy.
Let's have the nice guy. These guys, this collar's too tight. Let's bring in someone that can let the guys breathe. That's what it is, right? Like This is coaching. It's you guys have seen it a million times.
Babcock to Keefe.
What's that?
Kind of like Babcock to Keefe.
Babcock to Sheldon Keefe is another great example. It happens with, just about every team in the NHL. And this is, okay, you know what? We're not letting the players run it themselves anymore. No more country club here. Darryl Sutter's come off the farm, literally, to come to try to, squeeze some wins out of you guys.
We did a live stream the other night of Edmonton, Toronto, and obviously Toronto just boots them for 3 in a row. And I said on the stream, I said, these 2 teams, and if you want to call them the top 2 in Canada, I'm sure Winnipeg will argue that they're right there. But if you want to call Toronto and Edmonton the top 2, Edmonton can't sniff the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are not even on the same level as a team. And I look at Toronto this year and the depth, and Mikheyev, and I don't even know if I'm saying that right, and Engvall when he's in the lineup, and the way Nylander's played, they're heads and shoulders above the rest of Canada, aren't they?
They are. I got a lot of grief at the beginning of the season when I said on the podcast, it's Toronto and everybody else.
It's true.
In the division. And then Montreal had their big start, and you hear about it on Twitter, and you get the hammers put to you, and that's okay. That's
our business.
That's all part of the business.
I said Washington wasn't going to make the playoffs, Marek.
That's okay. That's all right, man.
I'm still holding out hope.
Dude, I got a worse one for you on our Sportsnet predictions, which is published. I said Nashville was going to be the surprise team.
Oh, yeah, well.
They're buzzing
for all the wrong reasons.
We all eat them, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that we should point out with the Toronto Maple Leafs, one player that you should circle as being, front and center in those 3 games against the Oilers, who really demonstrated that he can play on any line, be effective, play any role, and produce, and get under the skin of a goaltender like Mike Smith, and that's Zach Hyman.
Oh, my goodness.
Where he's taken his game this season. I know it's all Matthews and Marner, and they get the headlines, Morgan Riley, Nylander, Tavares, all that. I'll tell you, man, Zach Hyman has been fantastic for this team.
He's a worker bee. He just works. That's what everybody's praising right now, is the fact that they haven't had a third line checking line like this in a long time. And it just complements well at the fact that not only can they get under other teams' skin, but they can also produce. So now you got those 2 waves of offense on the first line. The third line's coming at you. And of course they've improved the back end as well. And I joked around on Twitter the other night about it, but Leafs fans have been raving about him as Hall.
Yeah. And wasn't that long ago that he was sitting in the press box.
We talked about that too. Couldn't even get in the lineup.
71 health bombs one year under Babcock.
It's like, what are you doing tonight, bud? I don't know. Sorting out my sock drawer. I'm not going to be playing hockey tonight. That's for sure. And yeah, he's distinguished himself. Him and Muzzin are like, that's the main shutdown duo. And they did a wonderful job against Connor McDavid. In those last 3 games. I thought TJ Brody did a real good job when he was like, it seems as if, you guys have heard this before. You played end, don't defend, right? Like stop the rush before it, don't let it set, like all of that. And it seems as if that's what they were trying to do and did effectively with Connor McDavid. Like all those stick plays were all before they got into the Toronto Maple Leaf zone. And part of this too is, and this is my junior hockey love, and I'll take this back to your OHL here, Biz. Sheldon Keefe's had to deal with Connor McDavid before in those Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, Erie Otters games. Now, interestingly enough, one of the defensemen that he would use against them, who was a real good skater and go stride for stride with McDavid, was Darnell Nurse, who, of course, is with the Edmonton Oilers now. But if there's any coach in the NHL that's sort of grown up watching McDavid's game and thought about it and game planned for what to do with Connor McDavid, it's Sheldon Keefe, and that goes back to Junior.
Jeff, there was another fire in the division as well, not as big as news, but Stefan Waite, goaltender coach in Montreal, was let go. They brought in Sean Burke. I mean, Carey Price is 33 years old. He's having an off year, .893 save percentage. How much is this really going to help him? Is it'll be a big factor here, you think, or what?
It's a great question. And for whatever reason, the hands-off conversation in Canada for years has been Carey Price. Carey Price is a good goaltender who used to be a great goaltender, who used to be an elite goaltender. But we haven't seen that guy since 2016, 2017. But for whatever reason, NHL players won't say it. Generally, media in Canada won't talk about it. There was those 4 years where he was the best goaltender in the world, gold medal for Team Canada. Almost became like that moment he became hands-off. But, if you ask Carey Price, like his game's been in decline for a few years now. And there's no way, I know save percentages down across the league, but you just can't win unless your goaltender is like 915.
It's impossible.
920. You can't. Like there's just no way to do it. I mean, we always talk about if the coach that wins the Jack Adams Award, first thing you need to do is go look at his goalie save percentage, because I assure you it will not be in the 800s. It's a high 900 number.
Mike Smith's the year that Dave Tippett won his.
Yeah. What was his at, Biz? Do you remember?
Over 1,000. He was fucking nuts, man. But it's a great point. It's like, ultimately it's what's in net that's gonna be a big deciding factor.
Alain Vigneault has the great line when describing hockey. If your goaltender is better than my goaltender, you win. If my goaltender is better than your goaltender, I win. I can't remember who actually said this. Might have been Ned Harkness in the 70s. We should rename hockey goalie, because ultimately that's what it all comes down to. If you have the goalie, it's 70% of your team, and if you don't, it's 100, and it's really that simple.
Yeah.
Wednesday night there was another game a lot of people are talking about, not just Toronto, Edmonton, but Trent Frederick and Alexander Ovechkin in Boston, Washington. What was your take on that? Do you think he knew who he was lining up with there for a second before he dropped the gloves?
Of course. And I think maybe for a second there he thought, wow, I can get Ovechkin off the ice for 5 minutes. What kind of cookie is Bruce Cassidy going to give me when I get back to the bench here? First of all, I really like Trent Frederick. I don't know Trent Frederick. I've spoken to Trent Frederick, I think for about 90 seconds at the draft when I interviewed him after Boston drafted him. But I really like him, and he's got he's a skilled player who's tough. Like, I don't know many guys that knock on Tom Wilson's door. I don't know any guys outside of Ryan Reeves that knock on Tom Wilson's door.
I think he'll knock on anyone's door. I get the sense like this kid, he doesn't care. And what's cool about the offense you bring up is he's like, all right, I'm putting that to the side. I don't necessarily have that yet. Let me get this physicality. Let me get some room for myself. And I think the offense will show itself.
I'm with you 100%. Like, he is. I remember talking to someone in Boston after they made that pick. It was the Buffalo draft, and I was talking to someone beside the Boston table. And I'm like, why did you? Most people had sort of Trent Frederick going in the second round. Like, why did you jump up and grab Frederick in the first? And he said, one, we had intel that Anaheim was going to grab him right after us. They took Sam Steele out of Regina because we went the Trent Frederick route. But two, when it comes to skill down the middle, he was just flat out next on our list. And we couldn't turn that down. And eventually David Krejci is not going to be a member of the Boston Bruins anymore. And all of a sudden, Coyle is going to slot higher, and so is Trent Frederick. Like, he's going to slide into that. Like, he is a natural centerman. He will be in that spot for the Boston Bruins. And you're right about the toughness. Like, and you're right, he'll knock on anyone's door. And one of my favorite Trent Frederick stories is this one. The American Hockey League, it's Springfield playing against Providence. And Tommy Cross is playing for Springfield, and he lays out Bobby Hughes with a vicious elbow to the head. It's like instant KO.
Sussy coming.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen it. The clip is on YouTube. It's a tough one. And so right away, Frederick goes at him. And in the American Hockey League, they have the 10-fight rule. They have this in junior hockey as well. So you get 10 fights, and then after that, every fight you have, it's a suspension. And the suspensions get bigger and bigger depending on how many fights you have. It's they keep the 30-fight guys out of the American Hockey League. And so at this point, Trent Frederick, I love this line. Trent Frederick had 3 fights. I think it was 3 fights so far that season. And he goes up to Tommy Cross and he says, Tommy, I've got 7 fights left this year, and I'm using them all on you. That is Trent Frederick.
Gave the punch card.
Yeah, listen, I'm punching 7 more. I'm not fighting anybody. I got 7 more fights, and I'm using them all on you.
Oh my goodness, that's unbelievable.
And you mentioned Krejci and what a playoff player he is, and I don't think by any means he's done. But you're right. He's close to 36, if not already, and. You hear the rumor mill, and you hear every team saying, how do we get Jack Eichel? And Bruins fans are the same. But if I look at Jack Eichel and the joke that the Buffalo Sabres are, is there any team that could go out and grab him and has any more of a package than New York Rangers? Or is that wishful thinking? LA could get it done. Okay.
LA could probably. Rangers is the obvious one, right? Like, let me throw we'll do like fantasy trade scenarios here. If you're the New York Rangers and the Buffalo Sabres came to you and said, Jack Eichel in exchange for Alexis Lafreniere, Capo Caco, and a first.
I literally said this 2 days ago.
I'm doing that in a heartbeat if I'm New York.
Did you say that one too, Biz?
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, like, you got to expect, okay, let's say Lafreniere ends up popping off. He'll probably get to a level of what Jack Eichel is proven to do, maybe even a little bit surpass that. I hate giving up on these young guys because I feel like a lot of people do nowadays. They come in at 18, 19, they play 2 years, and then it's like, okay, they haven't done anything, ship them off somewhere. And it's kind of I think like this whole new move of putting these guys in the NHL at such a young age and not having them develop in the American League at all is kind of, made people move on from guys a lot earlier. But if I'm them, I would do it just because you have, who do you got? You got Zibanejad there, he's not getting any younger, but he's pretty much in the prime of his career. You got, Kreider, who's been playing really well. I think he's had 2 hat-trick in the last 8 days.
Artemi
Panarin, and they seem to have a decently good enough back end with a couple young goaltenders. So why wouldn't you do it now? It's just, I guess it ends up being, you give up on Lafreniere.
You said something really interesting there, and I think I want to pick up on this one, Biz, because I think this is a really good point. And we saw this with, I'm trying to think of the most recent example
of giving up on a guy too young.
No, of like saying that we seem to think that if someone doesn't make the NHL right out of the draft within the first year of them being drafted, it's like, oh, dud. Yep. Oh, he's not playing.
Wasn't Jack Hughes getting ripped on last year? I mean,
so the guy that I think of right now is Ty Smith. Right, so Ty Smith goes and plays. What was it, 4 years at Spokane? He played the 4 years at Spokane, and he's a first-round draft pick. And it just took him a little bit longer to get there. But how much easier does he slide into that New Jersey back end because he had that extra season?
And I do think it's true, and I do think defensemen get a little more leeway. I think these young D-men, whereas like the forwards, because of what Matthews and McDavid and all these guys have done, they get the pressure. It's like you didn't get 65 points when you're 19. It's like D-men are able to, at least they're not, the crazy expectations aren't there. And you've seen Dahlin in Buffalo, and he hasn't caught as much heat as you feel like a young center would.
That's a really good point. And I'll throw something back at you. I think by the time a defenseman is 21, we know what he's going to become. We used to always say, 25, 26. And I always felt that was general managers who have always had a hard time with that position, just buying themselves some time.
Yep.
I mean, what you played D, like, is that like?
I know
by the time someone's 21, do you get a sense of like, okay, I can see where, like, they might not be that actual defenseman that they're going to become at that age, but you have a sense by the time they're 20. It's not like this mystery envelope that you don't get to open until they're 25 years old. You kind of get a sense of what they're like when they're 21, don't you?
I agree, and I think a guy that hops to mind there is Jeff Petrie, and at 21, he wasn't who he is now, but you could see it. You could see it. And I remember, and maybe he might have been 22 that year, but it was like, all right, this guy's got something special, and once he gets the ice time, and by the time he gets to 25, I think he will be this player. But at 21, if he wasn't able to skate the way he did, and he didn't have that offensive vision that would occasionally pop its head, you could be like, I don't know if we ever have an offensive defenseman here. It's true.
Can I hop back to Sean Burke getting hired quickly? I think that if there's one guy who could help Carey Price get back to where he was, it's him. He's proven it over the years. I watched him do it with Ilya Bryzgalov. I saw him do it with Mike Smith. I wasn't there for the Devin Dubnyk situation in Arizona, but he obviously found his game again there. I also heard that it happened between the second period where they got rid of, is it Stefan Waite? Is that how you pronounce it?
Stefan Waite, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently there was some disagreements on maybe how he was playing technically and maybe with the way he was approaching the game mentally.
I don't know what the discussion was, but that whole situation did kind of have like a Mike Camilleri trade vibe to it, didn't it? Like it was weird when, after the game we get the announcement and then Mark Bergevin says, yeah, it was in the second period that we made the decision and went the other direction. I don't know what happened behind the scenes between Mark Bergevin and Stefan Waite. Like, I don't know. It's like, okay, do you want Carey playing more aggressive? Do you want him less aggressive, deeper? He's like, I honestly, I don't know what that conversation is. I do know I'm a big fan of Sean Burke. I'm with you, Paul. Like, I think that this guy's a real smart hockey person, probably going to be a general manager. I mean, those intentions, he's made public a number of different times. That's a trajectory that he's on. But the interesting thing is it's a director title. So I'm not sure exactly how hands-on he's going to be right away with Carey Price. It seems as if, this is sort of one level above that. But I'm with you. Like any type of environment where you can get more attention and teaching for your goaltenders, the better. Because let's not forget, it wasn't until the mid-'70s we saw anyone even whisper goaltending coach, right?
Yeah, when did they come around?
I'll tell you exactly when they came around. It was the Detroit Red Wings, a guy by the name of Dennis DeJordy, who was there helping Jim Rutherford with the Detroit Red Wings when Detroit was a really struggling team. Like the first assistant coach ever was Mike Nikolak with the Philadelphia Flyers. Fred Shiro brought him in, and Dennis DeJordy at the end of his career, who did play with the Red Wings as well. They brought him in as the goalie coach. I remember I still have the Hockey News magazine somewhere downstairs here at the house about how much of a goalie coach. Who ever heard of that?
What the fuck? What are you going to teach him? Save the puck.
You know what the weird thing about it is too, like when you guys watch old games, isn't the one thing that jumps out at you how bad the goaltending is?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
Right, all right? Like it's awful.
There's just no form whatsoever. They're just standing there and taking swings at it.
Yeah, I don't know one position in all of sports that has improved more in the last 30 years than hockey goalie.
I
can't name one.
And it was all because it was probably being neglected.
Yeah, because coaches kind of say like, "Oh yeah, that's the crazy guy, drinks too much." Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to deal with that guy.
Well, that might be true too.
You mean director of goaltending?
So the one story I can remember with Mike Smith was I think the first game he ended up getting lit up in San Jose, and it was the first game of the season. Tippett brought him in because of the connection that they had, I believe, when they were in Dallas together. And Smitty was like, "Oh, I stink. I don't deserve to play. Backup should play next game." And Berkey sat him down. And he goes, "No." He goes, "You have to have the mentality that you want that net, regardless of how you played the last. You have to go back in there. You have to be able to, eventually find your own confidence." And sure enough, I want to say we lost in a shootout or overtime the next game, but then slowly, surely, we won the third game, and then you could see it. And then it started, and you could see they would always spend time on the ice together before practice and even after practice and have these long conversations. And Berkey was just found a way to connect with him mentally. And like I talked, Bryzgalov before him and Dubnyk after. And for Carey Price's sake, I hope Carey Price now.
You know what? You mentioned Mike Smith there with Sean Burke, and the first thing, Biz, that jumps to my mind is there a tougher goaltending coach/player tandem in the history of the game than Mike Smith and Sean Burke? Sean Burke may have been the toughest goalie. Ray Emery. No, Ray Emery fought like Josh Gratton and stuff. Okay, so outside of Ray Emery Ray was in a class of his own.
Like Hextall, like he was one of those goalies that the wires could cross for sure.
And when he went, look out.
Yeah.
Like when Sean Burke went, forget about it. That guy, and raw bone tough.
He wouldn't be shy to call guys out in the locker room either. He'd come in and be like, just one by one. Boop, 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 boop. Kind of like Chris Pronger, how we talk about him.
I love it.
Hey, so we've chatted with everyone about this, and Biz actually made a pretty good call the other night that Chicago and Pittsburgh, they seem to be in very similar positions where it's like we have this core, and we saw a guy from Chicago technically announce his retirement today, not officially because he'll continue to get paid, but Brent Seabrook.
Yeah.
And what's unfortunate is I think a lot of fans, in the end, they won't remember him this way, but right now it's like, oh, the contract and the albatross of the deal, and it's almost good for us at this moment that it's not going against our cap, but Olympic gold medal, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, and a guy who really, without his presence, the Blackhawks probably never get to where they would have been, huh?
Yeah, 100%. You know how I'm going to remember Brent Seabrook and remember Brent Seabrook's career, all those things you talked about, but that moment where it was Brent Seabrook that had to calm down Jonathan Toews in the penalty box.
That was before their first one. That was before 10, right?
Remember when Toews was going banana sandwich and it was like, all right, here comes Brent Seabrook say, whoa. Yeah. Let's remember why we're here. Just relax. We get past this. Like outside of like when he played and he was healthy, man, I had all day for Seabrook. That combo with Keith was just devastation, right? It was fantastic. But I'll remember that guy. Like I won't remember that as much as he was fantastic on the ice and all the success. I'll remember that guy that had to go to the player that many think was the greatest leader of this generation, with all due respect to Sidney Crosby, Jonathan Toews, and say, hey, let's take a breath here.
Yeah, he was a calming influence.
I was fortunate enough to play with him at under 18. He was our team captain, and same calm demeanor. He was a beast back then. That was the 03 draft, right? So not the pump, one of the best drafts, if not the best draft of all time. I talk about it I think every podcast now, right?
Because you were in it.
What played in the 99 Pee Wee tourney?
97.
Come on,
right?
Holy fuck! What are you, the co-host?
But yeah, no, an unreal career. It's unfortunate. It's got to end the way it has. But definitely, you should be remembered for all those glory years.
To that point, though, I want to point something out here, too. We spend a lot of time talking about not giving up. We spend a lot of time about, no matter what obstacle is put in front of you, you applaud the person that won't quit, never say die, try to come back. That's why I love the way Peter Forsberg went out. I think a lot of people say, oh, Peter Forsberg, tarnished reputation. No way, man. That guy, as long as he was going to get a contract, he wanted to play hockey. He tried on every single boot in North America to try to find one that fit and was comfortable and would allow him to play, and they had to drag him off the ice. Yep. And I'll say the same thing about Brent Seabrook. Like, he could have packed it in how many years ago?
I know.
He kept trying to come back. That's a guy we don't look at and go, oh, the albatross contract. Oh, good. Get rid of him. No, I would look at Seabrook and say, man, you know what? That's the guy that never quit and they had to drag off the ice.
Warrior.
And any team will take that guy.
And shout out to him. I read a quote that he said, going into the bubble, he said he'd never felt better. He felt quick. He felt strong again. He felt healthy. He was so excited. When that ended, right before Christmas, he woke up, said he couldn't walk, and it really hasn't changed. So, like, thinking of him in terms of hockey's over, let's just get healthy, live your life with your family. Yeah. But like you said, I mean, this guy was giving it his all and wouldn't quit until he finally realized, listen, I got nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll take a guy like that all day.
And quickly to shift it back to Forsberg, didn't he have like a stim unit?
He was trying everything. He was trying stem. He was trying,
During games, he'd have a stim unit, I think, trying to activate certain muscles that weren't able to fire. Like, that's to the extent this guy tried to come back.
I love that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I've never been someone that's like, oh, well, this, you have to leave the stage while they're still clapping. Go out on top. No way, man.
Yeah.
You know what? Swinging. If you really love it and you play like the way that Forsberg played, like all these guys could have packed it in years ago. And here's a guy that made bank. He didn't care. He just if they're going to take me off the ice, it's going to be kicking and screaming. I'll take that guy. And I want that guy.
And your boy, or our buddy Brian Burke, he takes over in Pittsburgh. It's so funny to get different people's ideas and thoughts on what they do and what happens with Crosby. And I'm just curious where you lie and where you think this ends up going.
With Crosby?
With Crosby and just kind of the future of the Pens.
It's a great question, and you never want to quit on a guy like Sidney Crosby. We can all see the landscape. We can all see what's around him. We all know what's happened historically with this team. For the longest time, the motto was, as long as you have, Letang and Crosby and Malkin, you go for it.
Yeah.
And that's what Jim Rutherford, did. But, eventually, the lights go up and the bill comes and you got to pay and then get out.
Yeah.
And it does very much have that feeling like we're there now. And I think the only question is how long it's going to take to rebuild this thing up, and where's Crosby going to be at when that does indeed happen.
Yep.
That to me is probably I know they're talking about extending Evgeny Malkin in the off season. I think that's the wish of ownership. I don't know if it is the wish of management, but I think we all know where this thing is headed. You can only be on top for so long. The question is, how long are you going to be at the bottom? And the one thing that we've seen before, man, first of all, rebuilds are not linear, and second of all, following that motto of bottom out, get rid of everybody, go right to the bottom and build it up from scratch, that doesn't always work. And if it doesn't work, it's painful.
Yeah.
That's the best example. And if it doesn't work, it is really painful. So if you're going to commit to doing it, do it while you still have some players around. Where you still have some guys that can play, and you have someone that's going to go on the Mount Rushmore of hockey one day there. So do it now, so it moves your rebuild along that much quicker.
Jeff, what did you make about the abrupt resigning from Jim Rutherford that kind of come out of nowhere?
It seems as if that was building for a while, and there was something philosophical between Rutherford and David Morehouse. I don't know whether it was over a player and I want to trade this guy, or we can't resign this guy. I don't know, but it seemed as if, it was sort of positioned as a regular conversation, and one person took it one way and another took it the other way. I think I was surprised by it, but now that we have hindsight here, it does kind of make sense if there was a philosophical disconnect. And the one thing we know about Rutherford is he's a principled guy, and he's not when he's the general manager, he has two hands on the wheel, and it's his team. And he did it with Carolina, did it with the Pittsburgh Penguins, success in both. And that's a guy that's used to having two hands on the wheel. And if it's not going to be him steering it, you know what? A lot of guys would just say, I'm getting paid, I'm hanging in there. Every 2 weeks, a paycheck's going to show up and someone's going to yell, "Stop thief," but not Jim Rutherford. He called it a day.
I got one last one for you. Is sure. Jack Eichel going to be on the Buffalo Sabres next season?
Wow.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No. That's okay. That's a fair question.
Have you heard of that trade proposal, like anywhere else other than like you thinking of it, the one from New York?
Yes.
So that is not just something that came to your mind on your own.
There's so much talk around Jack Eichel right now. To answer your question, RA, because I don't want to dodge it and do the standard guy on TV who doesn't want to get lit up on Twitter routine. I don't expect him to be on the Buffalo Sabres next season.
Do you think something could get done this year? Given that, no.
No, I can't see it this year. Doesn't this have a feeling to you like this is an off-season deal? Like this.
That's what I said
huge.
Yesterday.
Like
it's too big to happen mid-year.
Yeah, too big. And listen, who's the biggest person that has to be settled with it? Terry Pegula.
Yeah.
Right. There is an emotional attachment to the Buffalo Sabres that Terry Pegula has, going right back to that opening press conference when he was, had tears in his eyes when he saw Gilbert Perreault. Grew up watching The French Connection, and I think the first thing, if you're going to make that move, you have to settle Terry Pegula with it, and then you make the move. Now, to my knowledge, and Elliot's talked about this before as well, I don't think that Jack Eichel has asked for a trade, but he looks like a different player. I don't want to say checked out because that's way too strong.
Dejected, man. He's
way
dejected.
too strong. But he looks beaten down.
Well,
and how can you not?
Yeah, exactly. It's been a long. Is this his 7th year? It's like, you talk about the rebuild where, all right, break it down and let's go, and that's what worked for Pittsburgh and Chicago, and then there's Buffalo and Edmonton. You're like, whoa, wait a minute here. But Jeff, this has been great. I mean, there's so much going around the league, and you're kind of so dialed in. You and Elliot do a great job. Biz mentioned 31 Thoughts and on Sportsnet too. So keep it up, and thanks for joining us.
When it comes to hockey podcasts, there is a bullet called Spittin Chiclets, and we just sort of at 31 just exist in that sort of vacuum right behind it.
Well, you guys give real info. We talk about RA's toe cheese.
A little bit of a
Start talking about Elliot's toe cheese, maybe. Yeah.
a little bit of a yin and yang going on there.
Exactly.
Elliot gives us enough ammunition with his styles on television these days.
Exactly.
Oh,
What'd you guys think about the neck warmer he wore a couple weeks ago?
He had the Bond villain look going. I loved it.
It was good, eh?
Him and Austin Matthews are going with the turtlenecks.
I just was dying for him to say, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die," going to break or something like that. But
Thought he was going the
1 billion thoughts. 1 billion.
Looked like he was heading to the Regal Beagle at Larry Dallas and Jack Triple with
that
the
is a
turtleneck
very,
on.
very hip Threes company. You and I are the same vintage, so
There
we
we
can
go.
appreciate the Regal Beagle.
I got
Larry.
one last question, Jeff.
Yeah.
How many hours a day are you consuming anything hockey related? Is it just the minute you wake up?
It's all day long. I try to have more balance in my life now than ever before, because I think it makes me a better host, and I think it also makes me a better person, not just to be the 24/7 hockey guy. And I didn't realize that until only a few years ago. Like I used to think that, man, I'm slipping if I'm not reading or watching or like all of that. And then I just realized, well, I'm just becoming a one-dimensional person. So I'm trying to be better about it. There's certain things you have to, like, at the end of it, you got to watch the games and you got to make your phone calls and your texts and you have your responsibilities. But I'm trying to be a more well-rounded person these days. So that's a long-winded way of saying not as much as I used to, but I still spend a big part of my day around the sport.
Well, everyone can tell because you're the encyclopedia, like I said. So keep it up, and we'll talk to you soon.
Remember, if you're not sure of something, say it loud.
Loud and proud, buddy. Loud and proud. See you later. Thank you very much to Jeff Marek. Like I said, the wizard. Call him the hockey encyclopedia. The man knows everything. But all you people who see him on TV every night in Canada or listen to him and know what he looks like, he's all buttoned up. He's got the glasses on occasionally. This guy's ripping arm sleeve tattoos badass at home. So I think you don't really know the real Jeff Marek. But either way, thank you very much.
Absolute fantastic host. I was up Toronto for the Goon 2 premiere, and he gave me the CBC studio tour, showed me all around. Just an awesome dude. One of the best in the biz. But anyways, Biz, the Super Bowl and Valentine's Day just happened, and chances are that if you aren't on the DHM Detox train yet, you are feeling awful the next day after boozing, because DHM Detox is the vitamin for when you drink, and it's here to help with liver support, help break down the toxins, and get you feeling fresh the next morning. Biz, guessing you went through a few of these down in Florida last
I was
week.
crushing the hydration replenisher and the DHM detox pills. If I didn't have them there's no way we wouldn't be able to bank 8 or 9 interviews, whatever we got.
So you taking 2, 4? Well, how was
I always double up. I talk about this stuff all the time. I give it to all my buddies. The pills, I hand them out at the weddings. They just came out with the hydration replenisher, which is just all like good vitamins and what's the salt? What's the pink salt in there? Himalayan?
Himalayan.
Oh.
I think Tom Brady made that popular.
Oh, yeah? Well, now DHM Detox / Hydration Replenisher made it popular.
Nice. Little wrestling promo there. Time is our most valuable asset, so why waste another day? For just a few dollars per night, you can be prepared for all of life's moments. The team at No Days Wasted is here to help you be your best and get back to doing what you love after a night of sipping on the old birdie juice. DHM Detox is a 100% risk-free purchase on your first box, so if you don't love it, they'll refund you. It's a no-brainer. So at the very least, give it a shot, and if you don't like it, you get your money back. Pretty easy. We're going to hit you guys with a promo code. Just head over to nodayswasted.co and use the promo code
Biz20
for 20% off. That's nodayswasted.co for no days wasted after drinking with
Biz20 promo code.
the first 10 orders using Biz20 will receive a No Days Wasted hat. This is the hat Biz is always wearing on the stories. No Days Wasted will reach out directly to you via email if you've won. Probably could have used a few more of those down in Florida myself, but all right, moving right along. The other big story. Yeah, come on now. Actually, I was pretty good for the most part last week. I think.
Yeah, you had a hell of a performance the first live stream besides rubbing toe cheese on my friggin' shirt. But other than that, you were electric.
Yeah, I appreciate that, pal. This actually happened after we talked to Jeff Marek. Tom Wilson, he buried Boston Bruin Brandon Carlo on the boards. I showed it to Biz right away. We kind of agreed he was going to get suspended. Lots of chatter about it. He ended up getting 7 games. It got announced Saturday night. There was no penalty called in the play. Carlo did have to leave the game and go to the hospital via ambulance. He missed the 17 postseason due to a concussion. Wilson fought Jared Tenorti, who was in his second game with the Bruins. Then he fought Trent Frederick later in the game. What was your take on the hit, the suspension, and anything else?
Not surprised at all by the suspension. Now, there's a bunch of different layers here that we can go into, and I've seen so many different opinions, including Alexander Ovechkin, who had a pretty, passionate, is that the right word? Probably not, quote about the whole incident. He said, I think it's kind of a joke because we were talking to the refs after the first period. He said, I don't think it was even 2 minutes. It was a hard hit. Yeah, the player got hurt. It sucks, but when you play hockey, you have to be ready for that. So
onto the bus.
Oh, right under the bus. At least he didn't give the ref's name.
That would be hard to figure out.
The guy who didn't make the call. Okay, the crazy thing is, people are like, I'll agree, it wasn't a headshot. That was not the principal point of contact. But what it was a dirty fucking hit. So it's like the guy is totally vulnerable. And you can say hockey, yeah, you got to have your head up. You got to understand what's going on. If anyone else in the league throws that hit, I'm saying it's a dirty hit. With Wilson being the guy, boom, he's getting extra games. He got, an eighth of the season, I think? 7 games is an eighth of this season. It would basically be...
It'd be close to 10 games if it was a regular season.
I'm not surprised at all. When you've had the history that this guy has, any sort of leniency's gone. Any 50-50 where you could look at suspension, not suspension, 1 game or 4 games, he's going the upper way. He's getting more than you'd think anyone else would get. I'll say this, the Komarov hit. Who did Komarov hit the other night? Oh, this is going to drive me nuts. I'll think of it, and when Biz talks, I'll bring up the hit. It was just as bad. I don't think he got any games.
That was open ice, though, wasn't it?
No, it was against the boards.
Oh.
It was against the boards. So,
well, now I'll go fuck myself.
Lars
Eller. Go look at that hit. And you can't tell me that hit, that Wilson's isn't that much worse than that one, but it's Tom Wilson. So the ref not making the call on the ice is nuts. Dude, I don't care. Like, that's a straight up boarding penalty. If anything, they didn't even call anything on the ice, and he gets 7 games. Talk about being a touch off. Now, Laviolette and Ovechkin, they're saying it was a clean hit. I could not disagree more.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what they're trying to eliminate. I mean, I didn't think he was going to get that many. I thought he was going to get like 3 games, but like you said,
I thought he was getting 4.
The reputation kind of follows you around a little bit. Oh my goodness, I saw the good thing for him. I think it's been 18 months since his last incident, or over 18 months, so he didn't get dinged as a technical repeat offender. Where if he would have lost like $650,000. Where he still ended up losing just over $300,000. I mean, that's a bit of a kick in the nuts to the wallet. But I think the ultimate result in the fact that they get to assess the fact that he goes to the hospital, he's got to get checked out, and it's Tom Wilson. Throw that all in a ball, and you get the result that you did. I think, it's just what they're trying to get out of the game. I think that what was weird is he kind of came out of nowhere and he was already engaged with somebody else. So the minute he got away, it's like he kind of like spun off the check or got away from the other check, and all of a sudden he just came in and the result ended up being shitty. So I don't know. That's really all I got to say about it. You covered most of it, Whit.
I would say in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe when you and I even started playing Biz, that's not a suspension.
Yeah, no.
But the game has changed where the rules have been... They've been made like where they're just read and looked at differently now. And the headshot thing's become a huge issue, but he didn't get him in the head first. I that was pretty clear to me watching the video. And it's interesting that you say everyone thought, oh, he's not a repeat offender because it's been 18 months. Well, yeah, that matters, like you said, for the money, but you're always a repeat offender suspension-wise. That ain't going away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about to turn headshots. You know, it's like no matter who does it, how they do it, we see guys later in life, the fucking damage they have, man. And that's what we're trying to prevent. I hear people, hockey's going soft and it's pussies. It's like, no, man. So these guys can have a normal life later. You know what I mean? And if you could have deterrents like this, I mean, things are going to happen. But it's about keeping these guys safe later in life more, I think, anyways. Did you see Bergeron went over to Wilson before the start of the second period? No one knows what he said, and no one's ever probably going to hear. But that's pretty unusual for Bergeron to go over. It's not really his style.
But I also look at it like this. Like, Bergeron is a sick player, and he doesn't have to play like that in order to be successful, and Tom Wilson does. And we were stroking him off on the live stream the other night. People are still going to be checking their shoulder when Tom Wilson's breathing down their neck come playoff time. And it's just like, listen, like that's who he is as a player. He's going to play on that line, and like I'm sorry to say it, guys. I still want him on my fucking team because he's a proven winner, and he still puts the puck in the back of the net. It's just like that's what you kind of got to live and die by.
Every GM in the league would take him. Legit.
Yeah.
Every team would take that guy. And
I know some people listening, it's just like they hate to hear that, but it's just like,
oh, sorry, that's the sport.
Yeah, and Bergeron, good for him for sticking up for his teammate and going over and say something.
Yeah. Who did he fight first? You mentioned Frederick got him second.
Jared Tenorti.
Yeah. Tenorti, he's looked pretty solid. He's actually played like a lot coming in to the Bees. They picked him up, but yeah, I mean, what's hard now for Wilson, and it had been so long in quotation since the last suspension, but you come back and you're not exactly the same exact intensity, or I will say this, it's very hard to be when you're thinking about the next one's 10 games and another $600,000.
And the next thing you know, you're Rafi Torres.
Yeah.
And you're fucking, you're done.
And when you play that style, it's like, I shouldn't say it is really hard because I did not play that style. I don't know. But I'm guessing it's very hard to turn that switch off.
As far as the refs, man, when you're watching a real speed, I could see probably how they missed it. I don't think people should beat up on the refs here. They didn't really do anything wrong here. Yeah, they missed the initial call, but when you watch it in real speed from one angle, I could see it maybe look like a regular check from their perspective. But
I held nothing about his comment to Ovi. Like, it's just like, yeah, it's real time. Like when you see the replay, it looks a lot worse.
But Marchand on TV dropped bullshit and fucking cheap shots. So anytime we get swears on live TV, always a bonus. I know we talked about it a little bit with Marek, but Frederick dropping the gloves at Ovi. Ovi got him with a little cup check later. Ovi got a $5,000 fine for that. Someone brought that up. Well, is that a decent amount to get a guy in the nuts? I mean,
dude, Ovi's probably like, I would have paid fucking 25 for that, given how he would have just swiped fucking Putin's card on that one. Like, come on,
that's exactly,
$5,000. That's he's got more in his cup holder in his Lamborghini, whatever he's driving.
In 2007, I speared the one and only Alexander Ovechkin exactly like that and got $2,500. So inflation's crushing people now.
You got dinged. Do we talk about this on a previous podcast?
Yeah, I think so. And in the talk with the. In a talk with the man who was in charge of suspensions and fines, he's like, you got the right guy.
Where'd you get him?
It was the exact same play as Ovechkin did to Frederick.
Oh, you got him in the balls?
Ovechkin did it on purpose. I did not try to do it. I was trying to pitchfork him and just got his gonads.
So was this after that Frederick had dropped the gloves and tried to get him to fight, or was this previous?
What, the nut shot?
I think that was after.
Yeah, it was after, yeah.
Okay, so that was a follow-up. Whereas, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've mentioned that, or did we talk about that on the live stream, the fact that Frederick tried to get him going, try to fight Ovi?
Yeah, we did that too, but we don't know. Yeah, we don't assume all our listeners are watching the live stream. Yeah, he was cross-checking him pretty good, Frederick was, and Ovi was just fucking sick of it. He's probably like, I got fucking 720 goals.
Hey, keep in mind, like, Frederick's tough and he's willing. Like, we saw what happened when you poked the bear, Ovechkin. Remember Svechnikov tried to go him and he dropped him like a sack of bricks? Did he one-punch him?
He one-punched him.
I don't even think I would have fought Ovi when I was playing. Not like I would have been on the ice with him or even in the fucking lineup.
Wait, what?
I don't know if we're going to
fight him in warm-ups.
I don't know if we're going to have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Biz.
No, Ovi's like 240. He's a machine.
Yeah, he is a monster. I don't know if we're going to have any Blues Bruins media hockey games coming up soon, but if we do, Jack Edwards might want to look over his shoulder for Kelly Chase. Kelly Chase had tweeted, I'm a huge fan of Trent Frederick and a lot of the Bruins staff. I grew up a Bruins fan, wanting to play for them, had a Bobby Orr lunch kit, but I would love to play one game against Jack. I might not be able to catch him, but his smile would look a lot different.
Oh, I've said since this podcast began, he is the biggest donkey announcer, maybe of all time. An absolute clown show. He talks about the Revolutionary War. He talks about other players. He's just an absolute clown. And I'll tell you, like, some Bruins fans love him. I mean, forget like the chirping of the other team, and he is the biggest homer in the world. I want a little bit of I don't know, like
non-biased opinion,
neutrality. Is that a word?
I don't know. Google it.
Yes.
Can you Google it,
No,
Pasha or Mikey?
Shout out
net
wit. I could
neutrality.
do Jack Edwards' job in my sleep. That guy's a muppet. I can't stand listening to him. The fact that I have to watch the Bruins all the time with that voice and those terms, it makes me sick.
Probably wouldn't be hard to knock those teeth out either, because they're like a highlighter, yellow highlighter. You ever seen those things?
Oh, brushed him with a butterfinger.
Yeah.
One thing that didn't get you sick this weekend, Matt Barzal's goal. That has to be the goal of the year right now. I know
So
Connor's
far.
had a couple of them, but I can't even describe what he did there. Like, between the legs, like after he dusted, I think, Ristolainen. Is that the best of the year so far or what?
I mean, just the fact that he was able to stay up on the play, because he was met with contact, but then after that to quickly know that he's got to go between the legs, because as the goalie's sliding over, that's really his only angle, and he did it to perfection. I mean, he is such a special player, and that's a team right now that's rolling as well. But yes, I would say easily candidate for probably top 3 goals of the year.
I have to take back, I could not do Jack Edwards' job. I was thinking of doing color, but I love Andy Brickley, so go Brick, go. I could not be play-by-play. I would fall asleep. Back to what you were just talking about. The Barzal goal is so phenomenal. Goal of the year, no doubt, but I got to maybe lean towards and defend the defenseman who gets out-muscled and looks horrible. I was that guy many times because Ristolainen looked so bad. He fell over and got completely out-muscled. And a lot of people say he's so much bigger than Barzal. I'll tell you this. These little guys with their big-ass fire hydrant legs, when they get low, if you're taller, you have no chance. It almost looked like he went underneath him. He got so low to the ice. He's so powerful. It's like there wasn't a chance in hell that Ristolainen was knocking him off the puck. So, amazing goal, but I know he looked bad. But not many defensemen in the world wouldn't have looked bad in that case.
Yeah. And
everyone on the Sabres looks bad.
Oh, my goodness. Would they lose 3 straight games, 5-2 to the Islanders? I honestly feel bad from them at this point, but the good news is shortened season. The hell will be over soon. And
yeah.
every time we hop,
I think they're purgatory.
I think their last win was in overtime against the New Jersey Devils, who stink right now. But what have they lost? 6-7 straight now?
Buffalo lost all 4 games they played since our last show, 6 straight in a row. GM Kevin Adams had a Friday presser, said it's unacceptable where we're at. Everything's being evaluated, including Ralph Kruger. Adams noted he has the full authority to fire whoever he wants. He said the passion hasn't been good enough, the compete hasn't been good enough, and we have to fix it. This quote from MSG analyst Steve Helliquette. I think the Buffalo players should be wearing ski masks on the 15th and 30th of every month, because there's no way you can have that star power and then not have any pushback. I mean, they look like they've quit on this season. I think they're very easy to play against. I think that's a dreadful hockey team. They should be embarrassed.
Daryl Sutter's going to have to coach the Flames and the Buffalo Sabres. He's going to have to PJ back and forth.
Did I read the Flames had like 3 fights during the entire year and had 5 in 2 periods the other night? I might be off on the first number. Yeah, Buffalo. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This is every week we're doing this. It's nonstop. It's just a nightmare. Skinner scored. At least he got a goal. Fuck, if you're looking for silver linings as a Sabres fan, maybe he could somehow get going. Yeah, but Biz, you say when the short season ends, the hell's over for them. I don't know what's going on there next year. So you understand the GM saying all doors are open. I'm sure they're going to have plenty of callers. What teams wouldn't want to, like Sam Reinhart right now, try to squeeze him out of there? That guy's nice.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He could fit in anywhere.
He's probably been the biggest silver lining so far. And the funny part about that is before the year, they didn't even want to sign him to a long-term deal. They just wanted to give him 1 year to see if he could prove himself again. So I don't know. It's a bit of a shit show, so we can move on from the Sabres. We did our weekly rub their fucking nose and shit segment.
Yeah,
I will say this. I am so mad, RA. I don't know how you feel about this. We should be up $1 million betting against the Sabres this year.
Yeah,
I bet on them one time. They won.
I hate laying that fucking 260 though. That's tough. because they lose one, that wipes out three, 2.5 wins before that.
Yeah, but goal line.
Yeah, and we hate, listen, Buffalo fans, we love you guys. We can't wait to get there. We hate beating up your team every week. And like I said, I don't know the answer, man. It's like you.
All right, they're saying a lot worse right now. I think we're okay.
If they fire,
they're mad at us.
They're fucking punching holes in their drywall right now.
I mean, firing Kruger, that's not going to change the season. I mean, the season's probably lost at this point. I mean, they don't want to pay another coach, but at the same time, these guys aren't playing like they should be. So I don't know.
I think they should get Pagula.
Scott Norwood's never felt better.
I think they should get the Pagulas on the bench. Let's just go full. Let's go full Sabre.
Full Monty. Central Division, big news out of that. Brent Seabrook announced that his career is over after 15 NHL seasons. He won 3 cups with the Blackhawks. He's had tons of injuries lately. They've all added up. He's got 3 years left at $6.875 million. Obviously, he's not going to officially retire and forfeit that, so he'll go on to LTIR,
veteran,
long-term injury reserve. Kirby Dach, we had him on the show before. He sent out a nice tweet that said, "Fucking Siebes, I fucking love you, guy. You're the fucking best. Let's get fucking stoned."
Dude, I was like, wait, did he?
I was looking over to read.
No, just kidding, Doc. I said, "Siebes, in the short time I have been in Chicago, you have taught me a lifetime of lessons. You are one of the best to ever put on the Blackhawk logo and an even better person off the ice. I cannot thank you and your family enough. Congrats on the great career."
Oh, man.
I know we mentioned it earlier, but I want to.
Well, he was living with him.
And he did a great job, Docker did, of picking out a picture that he looked just phenomenal in. It's like the girls, I'm posting the picture that I look amazing.
Yeah, I want a few DM slides.
I don't care the birthday girl. I don't care that she was chewing gum and her mouth was open in the pic. Seabrook, I know we mentioned it in the Marek interview, but he actually had a full-blown, you couldn't dream up his career when you were a kid. To think of what he did at 10 years old, you're just like, no. Even I mean, I was dreaming of playing in the NHL and winning a Stanley Cup. 3 and the gold medal is what an amazing career. I want to say congratulations to him, because the fact that you got to interview him alone, I think, Biz, out in Vancouver one summer. I'd love to get him on again and just kind of ask him about his favorite memories, because there's probably 50 of them.
Yeah, I think he was a little toned down in that one. I think we can get him to let it fly a little on the next interview.
Retired.
But more importantly, above all else, under 18 gold medal for Team Canada that I was able to play with him on, and that probably above all the other accolades.
I want to talk about Witt's tweet about the Chicago Blackhawks.
It's okay. They don't know. They weren't there. No,
I know you won it. I mean, I don't bring up stuff that I won as a youth, and you're constantly bringing up the under 18s.
Did you hear me?
What?
No, about your tweet about Blackhawks fans.
Yeah. So I was.
How about this?
I didn't like where this was heading. Because before the year, I said, "Oh, I don't think the Hawks have any chance of making the playoffs." I think when I said that, I was like, "I hope they do." I'm a Chicago guy through and through. I love the city. And then as the season went on, I kept sticking to the guns of I don't think they will. But then they beat Tampa the other night, and I said, listen, I hate the scumbag Islanders fans and all those losers that root for the team, but I don't hate the Hawks fans. I don't want to be at war with you. I actually love your team. I love the uniforms, the 3 cups. I was rooting for them even though I was playing in the league. So I don't want to battle. And I was wrong about the team. They're good. Now, mind you, I sent this tweet. I think they were up 3-0. Against Tampa. I want to say in 10 minutes it was 4-3 Tampa.
It's 6-3 right now.
I had Tampa minus.
Oh no, it's over. It's over. It's over.
Hey, that's a double winner.
That's
over in the goal,
mush.
over in the puck line. But no, Hawks fans, I'm all aboard. It takes a big man to admit when he was wrong, and I'm on the train now, because let's go. Let's get into the playoffs. Let's shock some people.
Their games have been great, man. Tampa, Chicago.
They have been very entertaining to watch.
What was it, Friday night, that overtime? Incredible.
So I was a little bit confused, though, on that first game, because they played 3 in a row now. The first game at 0.01 seconds, the puck was still on the goal line when they showed the overhead view of it. Now, maybe the clock was not aligned and I was seeing the wrong pictures online, but they called it a goal initially, and then it stayed a goal. Maybe it was because they called it a goal why they couldn't reverse it. But when I see the overhead and I see that the puck's still on the goal line at 0.01 seconds, I don't understand how they counted it. Now, Chicago, you mentioned how entertaining these games have been. They ended up following up the next game with a 4-3 shootout win, and then, of course, this game today, which Chicago got off to the 3-0 lead, but ended up blowing it and losing 6-3. But I'll tell you what, man, just very entertaining, high-flying offense. They have a lot of guys contributing. Alex DeBrincat with an unbelievable comeback season so far. I know he struggled a lot last year. I want to say he's got at least 13 tucks on the year and has really elevated his game. And, it's unfortunate they lost Taves and Doc, but sometimes when you lose those guys, there is another player that ends up getting those types of touches, and it seems he's thriving with it. And we've already stroked Patrick Kane off enough this year, which he is definitely in the MVP talks right now.
14 tucks, actually.
14 now.
14 tucks, 14 assists.
And Kubalik, I mean, like late pick of the Kings 9 years ago or 8 years ago, and plays in Czech, plays in Switzerland, comes over last year, a quiet 46 points in 68 games. I mean, I know he was up for Rookie of the Year, I believe, but man, he's come back and he's been right there. He's been that offensive player. So sweet find there from a guy who was playing over in Switzerland and in Europe overall for 5 years.
Stan the man.
6 years he was in Europe.
Fuck it. We're going to have Barstool Chief writing an apology letter to Stan pretty soon after this performance.
Yeah, I wouldn't put the thumb on that. Carolina Hurricanes, they're 4 straight. They had 3 wins this week, but the news out there, Brett Pesce, a little slew fit on Fabry, $5,000 fine. That's a dangerous play, man. Not picking on him, but you saw the highlight.
That was like your carbon copy slew foot. Probably one of the nicest slew foots I've ever seen. A little tough, though, as you mentioned, and why it was so ugly, RA, was like because it was so close to the bench. And as they're headed there, you got the opening door. And it was dirty. But I'll say, 5K, definitely right on the button.
I think a slew foot is maybe one of the dirtiest plays in hockey. You're completely defenseless, and you're probably landing on your shoulder, neck, or head. So I remember growing up, I was told by my dad, if anyone slew foot you, cross-check him in the face. Like, literally, I remember some kid slew footed me, and he ran down in the locker room. He's like, "Get that kid!" I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, I did not exactly the killer. But he made it clear, no, you cannot allow anyone to ever slew foot you. It is a dirty play that can cause serious injury.
I feel like we don't get a chance to talk about Carolina enough, though. But just listen, this team is proven. They are very dangerous. I could see them making a run. I question their goaltending at the start of the year, but they just keep finding ways to win. And Rod the Bod's got a nice he's done a very, very good job of getting those guys dialed in. Now, if I could ask the Carolina Hurricanes a favor, do not. And I repeat, do not waste Keith Yandle's 1,000th game tonight. They gotta let one slip. They gotta let one slip here. They gotta let him score a goal and assist, and maybe even a Gordie Howe hat trick. Who knows for his 1,000th?
Guys, I remember being a part of different 1,000 game milestones for guys, and like you start thinking about it as you play, and especially retire. Where I'm looking at my career and didn't even get 500. 1,000 games is so incredible to like see somebody get, because what it takes to get there, only the people who have done it understand. And there's been people who've come so close, and it's an amazing career, but you still kind of always deep down know, like, 1,000 games is just like when you tell somebody you got 1,000 games. So for a really close friend of mine, like somebody I consider like family, Keith, to get this done, I'm so happy for him and his family too, because his wife and his parents, like everyone goes in, your entire like life and who you're with all played a huge role in that. And I think that like getting to see him do that, I wish there was fans there, and hopefully he gets a different, maybe a ceremony with the silver stick next year when fans are back. I know there's a few in his building, but from where he was at 15, 16 years old, I did not see this coming. He was a madman. And then once he turned pro and he talks about meeting Shane Doan, every day was basically built around becoming the best possible player he could become. He started training in the summer like no one I've ever seen, right? I mean, like this guy, he can go and go on the ice.
He used to win. He used to win.
Never gets tired.
He used to win the fittest player every year at Arizona training camp. Like, that's how much he turned it all around. Now, I believe 352 players all time now have played 1,000 games, which tells you how difficult it is in the NHL. And Grinelli also has an announcement. We are releasing some very, very cool shirts. Why don't you stand up and show the screen?
We got some limited edition silver line outlined with a silver metallic.
How sick is
for
that?
Keith, Sonk 1,000 Games t-shirt.
Wow.
These will be limited edition, so you can support Keith by buying these guys in the Barstool Sports store. That's barstoolsports.com/chiclets.
Keith needs a lot of money support.
Yeah, we're getting a little fun going for him so he can reach 100 sheets.
Keith has a GoFundMe.
I like the silver for the silver stick. That's a classy touch.
So congrats to Keno, the song man himself.
Don't you guys call him Keno because he loves scratch tickets?
He loves Keno too. He loves bar Keno. That's a game in Massachusetts. You play sitting in a bar drinking. It's called Keno.
Once he got that skateboard confiscated, he was off and running on his NHL career. Another note, the Svechnikovs played against each other for the first time. Obviously, Andre is on Carolina. His brother Evgeny was drafted by Detroit back in 2015. I don't know if Jordan Martinook gave his brother the Svechnikov.
Please never do that.
I can't
please never do that again.
Oh, Biz, did he spit on you?
Yeah, pretty much right in my face. I think I
need a replay.
I don't know what's worse, that or the fucking toe jam.
I want a replay. I think there was a second spitter. I don't know if I got you.
I'll try one and then you can try one.
The first one you like choked on something.
I'm hoarse, man. I can't hit those levels right now. I'm a little hoarse.
Okay, we're going to give you one more shot here.
Really?
You're better than this. All right, you can't end on that.
I can't. It's not there. I can't do it.
I think we have to end the podcast.
I can tell it's not going to come, and I'm just going to fucking...
Oh, my God.
There you go. Well, either way, the two brothers got to play against each other for the first time.
No, they went back and they didn't play the game because they heard what the fuck you just did.
No, dude, they sent him back to Russia.
They sent him back to Russia because of that.
I'm going to be at a fucking Russian gas meeting at fucking Stapleton. Anyways, it's cool anytime brothers get to go head-to-head. Interestingly enough, the Stalls also played head-to-head in the same game, but they've been doing that for a while. The Predators, some injuries. They're having a rough year, obviously. Duchesne out 3 to 5 weeks. UC Saros is on the IR. Columbus Blue Jackets. Kind of funny. We talked about fired coaches last week, and there's some news there.
Well, wasn't Jarmo talking about Tortorella?
Yeah, he basically come out with a vote of confidence. Said, they're not going anywhere. The staff is fine. And Tortorella said, I hate him having to do that, but I appreciate it. I'm not sure what was said, but we're all big boys here. When you're losing games and are playing as poorly as we're playing, those questions need to be asked. It was probably just that tweet goes out, we talk about it, and then people start asking questions. And I don't know, I'm assuming that's how it happened. Plus the poor play.
I think with his contract ending at the end of this season, like, you're really going to fire him and bring somebody in? The season's short. It doesn't make any sense. I am very surprised at where they're at. Now, they're sitting fifth, but the gap's getting bigger and bigger, right? So they can't let the top 4 teams in that division run away with them because, yeah, Chicago's surprising, but Carolina, Tampa, they're not going anywhere. And I don't think Florida is either. Florida is nice. So if you don't start winning now, you're going to be stuck looking from the outside in once playoff come.
Either way, if you have 30 free minutes, you never have to worry about a break-in at home ever again. That is how quick and easy it is to set up a security system from SimpliSafe. It's the kind of thing that's so easy to do, you can do it during a Netflix binge, watching the game, or listening to a certain podcast. Mine was so easy to hook up, and it's great knowing that help is right there if you need it. SimpliSafe is incredibly easy to customize for your home. Just go to simplisafe.com/chiclets. That's simplisafe.com/chiclets, CHICLETS. It'll get to your house in about a week, which means by this time next week, you and your whole family can go to bed knowing your home is being guarded. It's easy to assume everyone in your house already feels safe, but they might not, and it's worthwhile to talk about it. And SimpliSafe is a small, easy step to make sure everyone feels safe at home. So go to simplisafe.com/chiclets today to customize your system and get a free security camera. You also get a 60-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose. Once again, that's simplisafe.com/chiclets. Keep the homestead safe. Boys, one of the hottest guys in the league. He might not be the top of the points. Mark Stone. I love watching him. I've been talking about him a bunch lately. We talked to him the other day. What do you say, Biz? Send it over to him, get a little re-energized or what?
The modern-day Marian Hossa. He is just a treat to watch. Great 200-foot game. Very, very humble, folks. So hopefully you enjoy the interview, and we'll see you after.
Well, we're happy to bring on our next guest, who is one of the NHL's premier two-way forwards. He's currently in his 9th NHL season and 3rd with the Vegas Golden Knights, where he's been tearing it up lately. He's got 24 points in 19 games, and he just had a 5-assist game the other night, 5 primary assists. One of the most exuberant guys in the NHL as well. Thanks for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Mark Stone. How's it going, brother?
It's going great, boys. How you doing?
We're good, man. Actually, we're kind of worried we might get burned on the Zoom call because you've been on such a tear lately. Oh!
been all right. Team's been playing good.
A little
Flower in there.
Oh, Mr. Modest.
Humble.
Oh, come on.
Jesus, I thought you were going to come on and say, yes, I'm actually nasty right now.
I had a pretty tough stretch there in Tahoe, so I had to get going.
So we were actually chatting about Tahoe with Kadri, and it's interesting because to go through like a delay and have to deal with that, it sounds like it would be such a pain in the ass, but by all accounts, everyone got through it pretty smoothly and the boys just figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad. Kind of just felt like a little pregame skate, I guess, but I mean, it was pretty comical out there that first period. I mean, guys couldn't even stand it. It's almost like watching like golfers grind so hard and people just love seeing them fail. That was kind of what it felt like.
They're like, yes, another triple bogey.
Well, you brought it up. I heard you're a stick. That's what we keep hearing. You're probably the best player on the team.
I think White Cloud overtook me this summer. It was devastating, but I'm a grinder. I'll get back there.
You guys got action going out there or what?
We got a pretty good group, man. Got lots of good courses. Guys love competing. Over quarantine, it was getting bad. It was an addiction. It was like 6 days, 7 days a week. Have
you ever seen the Sandbagger Invitational?
I have seen the Sandbagger Invitational.
Biz, that smile, that grin, I think we have a future.
I think he wants action. I think he's seen my short game.
Take action, I think.
Oh, man.
Mark, one thing about you when we watch you playing, by the way, I'm a huge fan of yours, is on ice exuberance. I think you might have more than any guy in the league. Has that always been like a trademark of yours, or is it something that's developed over time, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of both, obviously. It's unreal playing in the NHL. Every day is a good day. It's fun scoring, fun winning, so may as well show it.
Well, I mean, I just listened to that Dean Millard interview you had where he said, you see yourself as an entertainer, just like anyone else should, and how you treat every game and every day in the NHL like it's something special. So was moving over to Vegas, has that like brought in more out of you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I love playing in Ottawa. I love playing for the fans there. Enjoyed my time there, but I'm sure you guys have been in the building in T-Mobile. It's
nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's best in pro sports. Fans are absolutely insane. I mean, we got like 2,600 people in there. It feels like a sellout right now. I love it. I love playing here, and everything's bigger.
Now, when Ottawa did trade you, you were due for unrestricted free agency, in line for a raise. It wasn't really a surprise that you got traded, but did you have any idea you were going to end up in Vegas?
I hoped I was getting traded to Vegas. It was the only place I really wanted to go. I found out kind of like around 2:00 that Vegas had, agreed on a trade, but it wasn't going through if I didn't sign a contract. So I remember getting on the line with Craig Oster and Donnie Meehan and said, "You do whatever you can, do whatever it takes to get this done, because that's where I want to go." So it was a crazy day, but ultimately turned out to be a great day.
Yeah, crazy's right. I remember seeing you get off the plane with that salad of yours. Oh my, that's the first. That's like probably the only thing I remember from the trade. I don't even know who else was involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty embarrassing. If I would have known, I might have spruced up the hair a little bit, but getting off there, seeing what they did for me, that's pretty special. And ever since then, I've realized that they do things big here. They don't take anything for granted.
They're like, "Are we getting a Carrot Top reboot here?
Like,
what the fuck's going on?"
The fans are like, "We gave Sideshow Bob $9 million a year."
Unbelievable. So you must have came right in and gelled with this group, man. Like, I mean, an unbelievable locker room. Some definitely some characters in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of personalities. Got a lot of goofballs. Kind of just brings it all together, I guess. For the first time coming in here, didn't really know anybody other than Eakin, and he's kind of the biggest character. Obviously, he's not with us now, but whether it's Marcia So, you guys know Reaver well. That guy's, he's always clowning around, pranking guys, and then obviously we got Flower, loosens up. Never seen a goalie so loose, so freewheeling. It's kind of refreshing.
What percentage of time, I'm going to guess maybe 4, does Revo not have a shirt on?
I think him, Tuck, and Theodore just did a commercial there, and he's the only one without his shirt on.
Oh, that's the biggest Vegas lock. Speaking of that city, but no, it's a blast. It seems like everyone just loves that guy. I mean, it was the same in St. Louis. We were just around him a little bit. We've had him on a couple times. He's just a great guy to deal with and play with. I'm assuming. I
mean, I love having him. He'll defend us no matter what. He's the toughest guy for a reason. He adds such a different element that, for me, we play with Chris Neal. It was nice to have those guys. We love having those guys. People say what they want to say. You need to have that kind of toughness, especially going up playoffs. I'll do anything for that guy.
We were talking before we hopped on, and we compared you to like the modern day Hossa, to where you have your two-way game's unbelievable. You're able to put up a crazy amount of points. Who did you mimic your game off of coming up? Like, was there one guy that you saw and looked up to?
Well, on my NHL Central scouting, I put Alexei Ponikarovsky because I wanted to play in a line with Matt Sundin.
Pony.
I think I've overachieved a little on that, but no disrespect to him. But I love watching Hossa play, obviously. I hate getting scored on too, so that kind of is the reason why I play the way I play.
And growing up, I don't know, did your father get you into the game? Was it something, I know your brother has played, and was it just something you loved from the very beginning? You don't remember anything else?
Yeah, I love watching hockey on Saturday nights, hockey in Canada. That was kind of my thing. That was our family's thing. Our dad got us into hockey, and I think being the younger brother, playing against my brother, the guy, whooped me for 15 straight years until I finally was able to beat him, and that was kind of like the best thing you ever had, But without my brother, there's no way I would be here.
Yeah, speaking of brotherly rivalry, you guys played against each other in the Memorial Cup. I don't know if it was the finals, but at least in the tournament, you were playing with the Wheat Kings at the time. He was playing with the Calgary Hitmen. That must have been a pretty special moment for the family.
That was awesome. The first 2 years of junior, go against this guy in the conference finals both years. They whooped us the first year, whooped us the second year, and then he was able to get win the WHL championship, which was awesome for him. And I guess that was the only way that both of us were going to be playing in the Memorial Cup. So it was bittersweet for me, and finally got the better of him in the semifinals. And unfortunately, lost 9-1 in the finals. So,
oh my goodness!
To who?
Windsor.
Oh geez, was that the Hall and Ellis team?
Yeah,
yeah, they were a wagon.
NHL team playing in junior. It's a joke.
We were looking back to you go through your stats and your career, and for a guy of your caliber, it is shocking for some people to look and see. It's like this guy's a 6th-round pick, and then you do deeper digging into it. And you apparently battled injuries that draft year. That must have been so difficult at that time because you have these aspirations to go high in that summer's draft. Is that the case?
Yeah, I was always. That was the goal. I was thinking, okay, my brother got drafted higher than me in the WHL draft. I'm going to get him in the NHL draft, and I was pretty set on it. Didn't have a good year. We hosted MIM Cup, had a good team. I didn't play a ton. Then just kept getting hurt, broke my thumb, got in a fight, got a concussion. It was just one thing after another.
Yeah.
Played horrible in the playoffs, didn't get any points. Didn't get any points in the MIM Cup. Didn't get invited to the Combine. Just thought the world was ending. And then finally, Ottawa took me in the 6th round. At the time, I was kind of pissed. I was a big Leafs fan. So, but then went there and spent 6-7 great years there.
Was there a knock on your game, Mark, before the draft? I know you had, you mentioned the injuries, but was there something, that was scaring teams away from you for something?
Everybody told me I couldn't skate. I didn't believe it though. I knew I could skate, but I was 6'3". I was 180 pounds. I was just a scrawny little guy. Once I got stronger, I was able to make it.
I always ask guys this: were you grateful for the chip that it maybe put on your shoulder, getting passed over and having to play overage and not having the clean slate coming up kind of thing?
The easy path.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I remember going to my first development camp in Ottawa, and as I left, I won't say who, but somebody told me they couldn't believe that they even drafted me. They thought that I was no good. So that kind of, I don't know if that was like intentional. I think that kind of put a fire under me. And I went back and was ready to go for my 18-year-old junior. Rest is history.
Were they in an Uber when they said it?
You fucking idiot. You're an idiot.
I was not in that Uber, so we were not good.
Oh, I thought you were driving.
That was Tommy.
Got a good laugh out of him.
That's right. That's right.
Mark, what were the expectations of the Senators when they drafted? Did they tell you what kind of plans they had for you? What was that setup like?
Well, I think if you ask different guys, it was different things. I mean, Bobby Lowe's drafted me thinking that I could be a player. I think management that first summer didn't think I was anything. And then, I had people going to bat for me all over the place. And then once I got to pro, I think Brian Murray had a plan for me. I think he saw me as a player that could be more than just third or fourth liner, and kept me in the minors for 2 years. Obviously hated that, but I owe a lot to him, and a lot of my career to him, basically.
I want to ask too, your dogged puck pursuit. I think that's become your trademark. Is that another thing that you always had, or did that kind of come along from coaching, or maybe you had a mentor early on in the league?
That was all outdoor rink. Spent countless hours out there with my brother, buddies, and just stick lifting each other, playing posts. Learned the hand-eye out on the old ODRs in Winnipeg. That was basically what we did for fun for 6 months of the year when it was freezing cold in Winnipeg.
When you first got the chance to see Erik Karlsson on the ice, and those years, I mean, your rookie year, that was when he was at his most dominant. It was just like a clinic every night. It must have been such a thrill to just be like, oh my God, I got this guy finding me on the power play. I'm working with the best player in the league, maybe at the time on the back end.
I try to explain to people just how good he was. I don't think people really understand during that time when he was literally the only reason. I shouldn't say only reason, but in 2017, he was playing on 1 foot. If we didn't have him, we weren't even going to make the playoffs. The guy was that good. He was that dominant. Obviously, he's had some bad injuries here now, but he was the best player in the world. You talk about Crosby, you talk about McDavid, all these guys. I think he was, in 2017, there was no better player in the NHL than he was.
I could not agree more with that, because it was like, as a defenseman too, you're seeing when he gets the puck, he's creating separation, he's gone. It was really similar to Scott Niedermayer, and to say that is crazy. But the other guy I wanted to ask about, and I got the chance to play with him, and then with what he went through last year, I'm sure you could put some insight into how good of a person he is, but that's Bobby Ryan. And I know that you spent time with him. So what were the experiences in terms of playing with him? And did you have any idea of what he was ever going through off the ice?
I unfortunately didn't know exactly what was going on with him off the ice. I knew that he had a few tough times.
Yeah.
But it was so nice to see him back. I think right before I got traded, I started to realize more. And unfortunately, it was too late. But I've been texting with him a bunch this year. I'm glad that he's, kind of found a home in Detroit. He's, I know his family is really excited for him. I know his kids are really growing and seeing him as a great player and a great person. I'm really glad for him that he's able to get through all the tough hiccups and perform the way he can perform. And he was one of the best players in the league for a long time, and I'm glad he's being able to get back.
With Gallant getting fired and Pete DeBoer coming in, have you talked to any of the guys who really had, I guess, more of a pulse of what was going on with the team longer before you got in there? And how much of a shock was it when that went down and the culture change in the locker room?
Yeah, that was one of the worst days I've ever been a part of. I think Turk was one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet in sport, in hockey. He was a motivator, great motivator. He had really good relationships with so many guys in this room, and I'm sure he still does. I was unfortunate to only play for him for maybe not even a year. But that was, I'll cherish that time. I love playing with him. I remember sitting in the meal room in Ottawa before practice that day. Once we got the news, I don't think anyone said a word for 15, 20 minutes. And then on the other side, Peter and Spotter coming in, they've done a great job at continuing that culture that we've created here.
Was the silence just because you guys had felt maybe like guilty based on play? But even to that degree, I don't think it was like that bad. That's why it was so shocking to a lot of people, and especially with the success that the team had the year before. Yeah,
I mean, I think we were maybe 2 points out of first place in the division. So it was definitely a blow to the system for sure. The team had gone to the Cup Finals in the first year. The year I got traded here, we were I'm not going to say anything about Game 7, but I think you guys know that.
I will.
I think we were as good a team as anybody that year. We could have easily, gone to the Cup Final that year as well and had a chance to win.
Mark, when you were in Ottawa, I know you had a few different coaches there, but there's one guy I want to ask about, Guy Boucher. We don't typically think of coaches as characters, but this guy just seemed to come across as a character when you saw him on TV and his press conferences. What was it like playing for him in Ottawa?
It was different. It's a real X's and O's structured guy, and I think that really we were lacking. So it really benefited us. The first year, we were able to get back to the structure. He's really animated. He's very emotional. I think you can see that in his interviews. And then I think we kind of got over structured in year 2, and that was kind of our downfall. And then in year 3, we were just rebuilding. I actually thought we played really well for the majority of that year. We were undermanned.
And you were lighting it up in Ottawa, there for 6 years or whatever. People didn't know about you. And then when you got to Vegas, all of a sudden everybody was talking about Mark Stone. I mean, you were a finalist for the Rookie of the Year, but it seems like people really got to know you in your game recently.
Yeah, it was kind of nice, kind of flying under the radar a bit. We had good teams there. We had some great years. A hamburger run was one of the funnest
hamburger. Did he get free burgers the rest of his life? Is that true?
I don't know if he got free burgers the rest of his life, but he got that like gold McDonald's card, and they reloaded.
You can cut the line.
Yeah, they cut the line, reload the card.
You get Ronald McDonald at your kid's birthday any year you want. He has to come.
I think they took care of him. So he's with Minnie right now. I was talking to him these last couple of days. And, greatest guy ever. One of the greatest guys I've ever met. So I met a lot of good people in Ottawa. They brought in some great people. The staff there is great. I enjoyed my time there.
They get the old playgrounds with the ball pits. They bring those to your house when they're done using them at a Mac 10s.
Yeah, Hondo P.
When we talk about Ottawa, obviously, we got to talk about that 2016-17 run you guys got within, a goal of the Stanley Cup final. Talk about that. Take us through that run.
Everything went right, I feel like. We lost the first game to Boston in round 1, and then we were down 3-1 going to the third, I think, in game 2. Things weren't looking great. Then Carlson makes the ridiculous play, and then Big Dion finishes it off for us, and then we were kind of off and running then. Beat Boston, beat New York. Got to a great start against Pittsburgh. We were lighting it up, and then Game 7, Chris Kunitz.
Who's that?
Completely crippled us. We were one bounce away. I think Nashville had so many injuries that year. I think we were one goal away from winning the Stanley Cup.
I got to ask, because there's been so many different stories in Ottawa, and I've always said, I'll be honest on this podcast, like where the rink is, it's similar to like Arizona. It just kind of makes no sense. And the fans, there was playoff tickets available at one point. Was that shocking to you? Because for a while, and I played against the Senators, in the playoffs in the first round. It was and 2 years in a row. It was crazy. But just to see what's going on there, it must have been tough playing there and dealing with that off ice stuff that really shouldn't be an issue for players.
Yeah, it was. I mean, by the end, it was just getting repetitive. But I mean, we still had great fans that 2017 run. They're passionate there. But like you said, I mean, they tried to get that downtown arena set up. I think if they can get that done, be incredible for that city. I mean, it's the thing that people don't understand about Ottawa is there's so many like surrounding areas. You know, Gatineau is on the other side of the bridge. Canada, Orleans. There's so many little different areas that attract fans, and if they can get the rink downtown, you bring in a whole new fan base.
Did you get to meet Trudeau when you were there?
No. Yeah.
Did you want to meet Trudeau when you were there?
Of course.
That would have been pretty cool.
He was one goal away from meeting Trudeau.
Yeah, exactly. He's a Habs fan, though. I mean, he likes it.
Oh yeah, you actually said, I wanted to bring that up. You were a Leafs fan. I mean, the Jets weren't in town when you're growing up in Winnipeg, right? I'm guessing you just ended up going with T.O.
My dad's from Sault Ste. Marie too, so he grew up a big Leafs fan. And Matt Sundin, that was my guy. I love that guy. So that's the only reason I was a Leafs fan.
When you got to Vegas, Mark, what was the biggest misconception you had about the city or the area?
I'm sure everybody says the same thing, but like, it's just a normal town. Obviously, there's the Strip, which you guys see. I don't think, Biz, when you come here, I don't think you probably don't leave the Strip, I'm assuming.
I just go to the Britney shows.
Biz went to Vegas, I think, like 16 times one summer. He was out of the league 400 days later.
Yeah, I mean, the Strip's great, right? Like, tons of great stuff to do on there. But I go to the Strip to go for a nice dinner. I go to the Strip to T-Mobile and everything else. I'm never down there. The city of Las Vegas is incredible. Surrounding the areas, Henderson, Summerlin. I mean, we got great golf courses, we got great food, great weather. We got it all.
What about the first time you saw that pregame thing they do? You were like, what the hell is this? I mean, they're bringing out jousters.
He wanted to be a part of it. He wanted to join as one of the characters.
He was dressed as one on the plane.
Yeah, it just gets me boiling. Every game here is a playoff game. Every atmosphere. I mean, during the intermissions, it's Cirque du Soleil. You name it, they got her going. You never see an empty seat. Warm up, everybody's buzzing. Got the tunes cranked. People are drinking.
Yeah,
they're getting it fired up.
Is it? Yeah, I guess. How do you not get fired up? Because the thing I'm always wondering as players though is, you got to be battling for home tickets. Like, there's no more, hey, you using your tickets? Like, everyone is scrounging trying to get more.
Trying to get free bottle service.
Oh, yeah. Tuck's trying to get free boxes to give away.
I ain't getting those. They're a hot commodity here. Yeah, I mean, tickets are, I think Marcia So's got, I mean, that's the thing here. We got so many kids on the team. There's like, everybody's got 4 kids. So if you want to bring your family to a game, you got guys begging for tickets.
Yeah.
So I only use one, so everyone's always begging me for that last one. Glass and Hag are popular guys right now. There's lots of guys who got those extra tickets, but I mean, I don't know if you guys have been to games here. It's crazy.
So I gotta ask, is Flower still just nonstop fucking with people?
He's playing a lot of hockey right now, so he's not screwing around as much. But
okay.
Yeah,
how about like and like there's so many things that have happened that it's definitely him. I'm just telling you that right now. It's him. If there's any out there that nobody knows who did it, it's Flower. He'll do it to himself to make sure nobody guesses it's him.
He denies a lot of stuff, but he's always up this.
He shoe checked my dad on the dad's trip.
I mean, he's little. You can get under those tables pretty easy.
Yeah, that's why he works on his flexibility. When you see these gold buckets when you walk in the room, are you like, do you love that shit? You like all the crazy uniforms?
We were hesitant on the gold helmet to start, but we got a big win in the last game, so we're I think guys like them now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Vegas, man. You got to do cool shit. I think everybody loves our red jerseys. everything we do here we love. So that's why we do it.
I'm still waiting for the Spearmint Rhino collab when they got the strippers out there pregame, then get the crowd really going.
The game starts at 12:30, right after midnight.
Well, in the ECHL, they used to do a 12 o'clock game once a year where the game would start at midnight. And when the what was it, the Los Angeles Wranglers, and I want to say that Ego was on the team when that was going on.
I'm sure he was. He's got some good stories. He's got the Wrangler stories. He's got the Knight stories. He's seen the best of both.
We played with him in the American League. Were you not there when he was in Wilkes-Barre?
No, I never played with him. I might have played a game with him, but I don't think so.
Is he still kicking around the rink?
Oh yeah, he's always around. I mean, when we had the whole thing with our whole coaching staff getting COVID, he hopped on the bench in Henderson because we had the Henderson staff, so he was just coaching them by himself.
How many fans?
Patrick Brown was out there too, the captain. That was the coaching staff. It was unreal.
How many fans are showing up? I mean, before COVID, obviously, to practices, because I see pictures, tweets occasionally. It's like it looks like there's 4,000 there watching you guys pregame skate.
Yeah, there's no, you can't get a seat in the bleachers. So I don't know how much it seats. Probably 500 every day. I would say
that is just sick.
In and out.
They're going for the free AC. It's as hot as balls there.
No, there's blackjack tables right behind them.
Well, they got a great restaurant up there too, so they can serve booze in there. People, they love it, man. I think they were just begging for a sports team, and Bill bringing the Knights here, expansion, open it up for them. They love it. We love it too. We joke around with them, with banging the glass. We get them fired up for practice. It's awesome.
I was going to ask you next. Do you go gamble? What's your game if you do? Penny slots?
Not a gambler.
Penny slots?
Only gamble on the golf course.
Put the diaper on?
Yeah. We got some guys who will go, but we stay away.
What's the best course in Vegas? I mean, I've played a couple of them. I think it's Shadow, but I'm sure there's some hidden gems.
Shadow Creek's the best. It's one of my favorite courses in the world. I remember at Southern Highlands, which is...
Oh, I played there. That place is tit.
Yeah, it's my biased opinion as the best private course in the city, but there's lots of great courses. I know a couple of Petro and Patriot Summit Club, which is immaculate shape all the time. Cascada's a great course. But yeah, I'm biased to Southern Highlands.
Yeah, it's a joke it took so long to get pro teams in Vegas. I mean, obviously you got the Raiders there now. Have you been able to take in a game for the Raiders yet?
No, I haven't been. Guys are begging to get in there. I know Revo has been a huge Raider fan his whole life, so he wants to get in there. I met Derek Carr at Southern Highlands Golf Course. Seems like a great guy. It's nice to have another team here to root for. But hopefully next year we can get in there. I want to see their practice facility. It looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they do any stuff like you guys do, because in Vegas, like you say, other cities wouldn't maybe fall for it, but in Vegas, you kind of have to do it. I mean, because it's Vegas, it's the Strip. I want to ask about the Gila monster, Chance the mascot.
Oh, my goodness. R.A. thinks he thought of your mascot. He wants you to ask Gila if that's where they got the idea.
Chance.
He's convinced.
Yeah, no, I had teased about it for a long time. So when they actually introduced the mascot as a Gila monster, I kind of took pride in it, even if I had nothing to do with it. But all kidding aside, you mentioned Cirque du Soleil a few minutes ago. Have you been able to check out any of their shows at all? Those phenomenal athleticism.
I've been to a few. I've been to the Beatles, which was awesome.
Oh, love, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. They put on a great show, great tunes. Absinthe, I think that's I don't know if you guys have been to that one.
I've been to Absinthe. That's sick.
So funny. Great talent. And then
how about the girl in the ball? You know what, Absinthe? You know what I'm talking about?
When he comes down at the start of the show?
Yeah. No. Isn't that the show when the girl like spins herself in and out of a ball? That might be another one. I've been to some fucked up Vegas shows.
They have. There's like, I think there's like 16 acts, and they do like 8 of them a night. So there's different ones.
Okay.
Every time you go, so you probably see like 5 of the same ones, and then you get like 3 new ones. I've been to it like 6 times.
Yeah, it's incredible. It is the athleticism on display. Like, do you see the one with the?
I saw
I've seen Yeah, that's great.
What's the one? What's the one that's has to do with sex?
Is that not Exotica?
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, that was Spearmont Rhino. We already covered that.
Of course, Biz
I know what
brings
you're
that up.
talking about. I can't even think of it.
Yeah, no, so there actually is one. So thank you.
Yeah. There's two. I forget what it is. There's a big sign when you get in the airport in Vegas. I forget what it is. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, the Beatles one's good, Biz. You don't really have to be a fan. They got a lot of actually rollerblading going on that one too.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
roller.
Yeah,
girl?
it's incredible. Like just the whole what's choreography and everything they do. Because there's probably 1,000 times in a show that they can screw up and they don't. Or if they do, you don't even notice it because they're so good at it. What about any other shows you're taking? Are you a big concert guy?
Well,
I know it has been nothing lately.
I haven't been able to do anything lately,
Right.
unfortunately. But I'm trying to think of other ones I've seen. I just keep going back to Absinthe. I don't know why. It's just so good.
We're gonna have to check it out.
Hey, do you live in Winnipeg in the summer still?
Back and forth. Obviously, last summer was a bubble. I didn't go back at all, really. But yeah, I spent about 2 months the year I got traded here, but spent most of it in Kenora with Eakin.
Okay.
Up at the lake.
I played with your brother. He was so quiet in the locker room. Hey, I tell you what, he's got a bit of a cocky sense of humor on him, though.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't he? Oh my, he would body bag me about once a day, and I'm
No
like,
way.
Oh,
that's my type of guy.
He's so witty, just under his breath, and I'm like, Stoney, enough. Was he like that growing up? Was he always shitting on you?
He's like the nicest guy you'll ever meet in your life, so that's kind of the problem. But like you said, like he gets that little dry sense of humor, and he did it like in a nice way.
Oh yeah,
with a smile on his face. He's like, "What? I'm gonna do?" And then I'd just lose it on him. But then I'd get in trouble, and he would never. He would never get in trouble with because he was never doing anything bad. Just like the nice kid.
I didn't even look. Is he playing this year?
Yeah, he's in Calgary.
Okay,
So,
awesome. Oh,
yeah,
geez.
he's on their taxi squad right now. I mean, ever since a blood clot.
Well, put him in the game. Jesus, Calgary.
Yeah, they could use a little defense.
Ottawa's dusting them. Give him a shot.
No, let that one timer eat.
He wouldn't even wind up.
Cannon.
He had like a 110 flex.
He must
would back it
pound
up.
the golf ball.
He's got an absolute missile. Yeah, he hits the ball far. I think I got him on the course.
Mark, that we playing a reduced schedule this year, only 56 games. I've seen a shitload of games so far that have been like playoff caliber games. You think the overall level has been better hockey with the shorter schedule?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we were watching the game yesterday before the game, the Washington-Boston game, and there was 9 shots in the first period and 30 hits. So it's the rivalries are starting to come. I think obviously it's so important to get off to a great start. You're playing your division every game. It's been interesting. It's been a fun year to watch hockey. I think the play with the less travel and not having the back-to-backs are all played in the same city. So I think that schedule makes it a lot better. I think we'll see it a little bit more with the series is coming up in the future.
I usually ask guys this, like, who's the one, not to say you hate him, but who's the one guy you're like, fuck, I'm in for one tonight, lining up against him, and probably like your biggest rival going head-to-head every night as an opponent?
Right now, the guy I hate playing the most is McKinnon. Just impossible to match up against the guy, but you just try and do your best and hope for the best, I guess, when you play a guy like him.
Who called you, or how'd you find out you're going to be captain? First Vegas captain.
Coach Peter called me into his office.
What a feeling.
Basically, I don't know. It's pretty emotional for me. Like, he kind of gave me the, are you up for it? You want to be captain? It was obviously an easy decision. This is, I get emotional talking about it. I don't.
Yeah, no, I remember.
Feel free, man.
I
cry all the time.
That's
I cried at the Justin Bieber documentary. Just let it loose, buddy.
Hey, I had an article. I think I saved it. Like, it was an article in Sports Illustrated. It had a picture of every NHL captain next to it. And it was about like what it takes to be a captain. I didn't sniff being one, but I can totally like see how you'd be emotional, because it's like a dream growing up to be a captain of an NHL team. So congrats to you. That's pretty cool. The first one the organization's ever had.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing too. Being the first one of an organization as good as this one is, I think we're in the top one or two organizations in the league. So being the first captain here is it's crazy. It's something I'll always be remembered for, and I'll never forget that day.
That's awesome.
Mark, the team obviously has a couple of bust mentality this year. How does the team keep an even keel, like not get too high or too low when, that's the ultimate goal?
Yeah, I talk with Patch all the time. I think the hardest thing in pro sports is expectations. Playing with no expectations, you just go out there, play loose. And then when you have those expectations, it makes it hard. That's what the good teams do, though. I think we're getting close. But like you said, it's win the cup or bust. And I think that's what trickles down from ownership to management to coaching staff to players. We're here to win, and that's all we want to do.
Do you keep tabs on any of the young kids that you played in Ottawa with?
All of them. Those are my boys. Whether it's Whitey, Shabbat, and obviously Brady, who lived with me for 5 months. Those are my boys. I watch all their games and root hard for them.
Was that the first time you had a young guy live with you?
Yeah, it was. Got a good one. He's obviously a product of Big Walt, so I knew he was going to be a good guy.
Yeah, he's like little. Well, I wouldn't call him little, but he is just like Big Walt out there watching him. It's uncanny.
Yeah, it's like if you're asking Kachuk, you're only allowed to play one way. Like an asshole.
Did they call him the thumb in the locker room? What was his nickname in the locker room for Brady?
Brady? We didn't have much for him. Just Chucky. His first month, I think he forget what he did with his ankle. He either had a high ankle sprain. He ballooned. He was eating everything he get his mitts on. Wasn't able to do any workout, so he got a little hefty. We got him settled. now he's all muscle. He's just hammering guys and fighting guys and just being a beast.
Yeah, the team's been fun to watch. DJ Smith's got him playing good.
And he was forcing Stutzel to cook for him. Wasn't he saying that?
Jimmy Stew.
Yeah, Jimmy Stew. He's like, I sit on the couch. He takes care of dinner.
Yeah, he's pretty. He doesn't really know much about cooking, but he's fun to live with. That's for sure. I loved it. I loved having him. Those guys are living in my place in Ottawa.
Oh, no way.
Hopefully, it's still standing.
They pay.
How much a security deposit did you collect?
The way his mom and dad raised him, they'd beat his ass if he did it.
That's true. Or you could just go after Walt for it because he's got it.
Yeah, exactly.
No escrow, too.
Yeah, I think he did all right.
But what do you think is going to be considered the stretch run? Like talking about the schedule a few minutes ago. I mean, a coach is breaking it up into quarters, halves. Like, what's the approach there?
We're just trying to win. Just bank as many points as we can right now. Yeah. We haven't even really talked about it, to be honest with you. I mean, I couldn't even tell you when the trade deadline is.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't even really looked. Usually it's always, end of February, you know when it's going to be. I honestly don't even know when it is. So usually that's kind of the stone. You got to play well for the last 20 games after the deadline. So, we're in a good spot now. So we're just trying to win every game we can.
You mentioned at the beginning that I think you said 2,600 fans are allowed in the building right now. Yeah, so it must make you appreciate to get fans back. It sounds crazy, like 2,600 that seats 25,000 would suck, but it actually, with nothing before, is noticeably way better.
It's incredible. You have no idea.
See, that's hard to believe as playing, because playing in an empty building is just, I feel like it's the same, 2,600 or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's an excuse, but last year in the playoffs, I mean, we have our barn. I just feel like we're such a better team, we feed off that emotion. So getting the fans back, huge for us.
Unless you run into the fucking wagon coyotes when you guys are done pumping that fake crowd noise into the building. Suck it, Stoney!
Why would you know the trade deadline? You got a no-move clause for 8 years. Why would you even care?
Yeah, you're the guy who's like, oh, what day is today, guys? And then I'm in the corner just scratching myself, sweating it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, you earned it.
Well, man, this has been great. We appreciate you coming on with us, and it's been a joy to watch that team. I think that we want the fans back, and we want to go to. We're going to be out there in mid-May, so we'd love to catch a game. Hopefully, there's even more fans allowed then as the playoffs begin. But congrats on all the success, and we appreciate you joining the show.
Thanks, boys. That was awesome.
Sandbagger.
We'll be
You get a partner. He has to be above a 10.
We'll be hitting you up for tickets, and don't leave him COD either.
I'm just. I was worried about your 4-ball bid or Whit. Disappointed for you not being able to get in there.
Oh, I know. Thank you. That means a lot to somebody that really people don't understand what we went through to get in a USGA event, and then it has to get canceled. But onward and upward. We'll get in another one hopefully. And who would your partner be?
Chance
for the same. the Helia.
Yeah.
On the team?
Yeah.
Stevenson or White Cloud?
Wow.
What's White Cloud's cap?
He's playing at a plus right now.
Oh,
Get the fuck. We don't like those guys in the sandbag.
This guy's a stick. We can't,
Guys in the sandbag. Get more strokes.
Yeah, but trust me, Biz has done nothing with those strokes. We're not going to give anything away.
You can play with Gary Lawless, and that's about it. That's all we give you.
All right, Stoney. Thank you. Have a good one, buddy.
Big thanks to Mark Stone for joining us. Had a great chat with him. He's a huge fan of Absinthe, by the way, huh?
Six times? What did he say, 6 times?
2 times, yeah. I was really pressing on that Cirque stuff, but have to check that out next time I'm out there. Well, you've heard us talk about Whoop. It truly is our favorite fitness wearable. It's the fitness tracker that provides 24/7 personalized sleep, training, and recovery insights to help you unlock your potential. Each day it measures how well you slept, how recovered you are, and how much stress you put on your body from both your workouts and going about your everyday life. Whoop is worn by some of your favorite NHL athletes as well as some of your PGA Tour professionals. It's not meant for just the professional guys, though. Me and Grinelli get helped out by sleep patterns, working out when we do here and there. It can help anybody improve their performance by giving them that personalized, actionable data to help you make smarter decisions. And the Chiclets boys have been wearing them for a while now. We got a little competition. Basically, mine's a sleep competition. Biz is a little more on the workout end. Whoop has helped me get smarter about the way I train and my sleep. Made me aware of my body's recovery because it's stuff I really didn't pay attention to. But now that I have Whoop, it's good stuff. And they're offering 15% off when you use the code Chiclets at checkout. So go to whoop.com, that's WHOOP.com to join now. Sleep better, recover faster, and train smarter this year and beyond with Whoop.
Yeah, I see everybody wearing these things now. A lot of PGA guys. Did you mention that in the ad read?
I did.
Okay, yeah.
I did.
A lot of the pros are wearing it. And it's good. You could link up with your buddies and push each other as far as workouts or who's getting better sleep, which I'd imagine the workouts is probably a little bit more popular as far as competing. But all right, I'll start competing you with sleep.
Oh, you'll dust me, man. I wish I could sleep like I used to. I used to get 10, 12 hours a night. Now it's like if I get 6, I'm fucking happy.
Okay.
Sucks. I was saying before the show, Mark Stone got a Chiclets bump, but I would be lying because he's had a fucking bump all year. This guy has been on an absolute tear. Vegas, absolute tear. Like I said in the interview, Stanley Cup a bust for them. Marc-Andre Fleury got his 65th career shutout. He just passed Hasek for 16th place. But the other news out of this division, Zach Parise scratched for the first time ever as a member of the Minnesota Wild. His first since his rookie year. He was, I guess, Mike Russo said on The Athletic, he had overextended his shift. He was trying to set up Marcus Foligno for the empty net goal, which would have given him a hat trick. But the puck ended up in his own net. Minnesota eventually lost the game. Needless to say, Parise wasn't happy about being scratched. I don't agree with the decision, he said. In my heart, I felt like I was doing the right thing. I asked Marcus after the second if he ever had a hat trick. He had 2 goals up to that point. He said no. He said, let's go for it. Basically, he was trying to get his buddy hooked up, stayed out there too long, and ended up losing the game. It's got to be tough for a coach, though. A guy who's been playing consistently for 10, 12 years.
I think in the long run for this team, it's probably a positive thing because it shows everybody that no one's safe and accountability will be held to a very high standard. The reason as to how it all happened, I didn't know it was an extended shift. The fact that he was trying to pass it over and then it ends up back in his own net, and points are so valuable for Minnesota, where I said that they were a bubble team, right? You got St. Louis, you got Vegas, and who else in that division who's a top team? Help me out.
Colorado,
although they've been playing not so great lately. But you can't be giving up points like that, and especially against teams in your own division. So shitty situation. I would imagine it lights a spark under him, so that's probably a positive as well moving forward. But they ended up moving forward. Didn't they whoop the Coyotes the next game when he was a scratch?
Yeah, they beat the Coyotes, then they lost to the next game. But, yeah, a little rough end of the trip for Minnesota. But they're right in the thick of it, man. They're a lot better, I think, than other people.
How do you feel about it, Whit? Like, do you think it's a hard-o move to healthy scratch him after that situation about him trying to help out a teammate? Like, do you think that the coach went and gathered that information to understand why he tried to slide it over? Or at that point, he's just, fuck, we could have sealed the deal, taken the 2 points, not given any to a division opponent, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, I find it very hard to believe that is the main reason why he's getting scratched. Because for a player who's like his entire career been known as somebody who's like very responsible in his own end, where he's never really sacrificed defense for more offense. His point totals aren't the same. He's getting a little bit older, but in all the years he was really lighting it up. He always was so good defensively. So if he makes a mistake like this, which the coach is looking at it like a dumb mistake, and now it'd be one thing if he tried scoring for himself and iced it, right, Biz? Even though like they've changed, where everyone always tries to score now, but he was trying to find a teammate, and they end up losing. So I think the coach is saying like, this is why you're scratched, but don't you think that he's probably like not seen enough in his overall game lately, and then this is the icing on top? Because on just that one mistake, you're going to scratch this guy? I refuse to believe that. I think he probably doesn't like how he's playing. And there's so many young, talented players there now where, like, Greenway's been phenomenal all year. He's a BU guy, big, strong, knows how to use his body, skates well. And Kaprizov, this guy is awesome. A joy to watch. Makes Minnesota actually, you want to watch him because of him.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, so Parise struggled a little bit offensively, and he's the older guy making a ton of money, so fans end up getting on him. He's also a local guy, and he's scratched. But in the whole grand scheme of things, I don't think just because of that one play he had to miss the next game.
I could see as a coach though, like your frustration is like that. If that's where your head's at when we're trying to get points to make playoffs, yeah. Although it was what's the word I'm looking for as
Hello?
Someone hit pause?
I just froze.
That was like when Zach Morris would hit pause or timeout.
I thought one of you come help me with the word.
I was waiting for you to elaborate. I was champing at the bit here.
I didn't even
this
know
is my
if you
specialty.
said what the word could possibly be.
I don't know. I'm freezing up right now. I can't really think of it.
All right.
When you want to give as opposed to receive.
Altruism?
There's no way.
There's no way business is looking for
That's not in my
altruistic.
vocabulary, buddy.
Generosity?
Let's just
All right,
move
we'll
on.
move on.
Let's just move on.
Yeah, three goals, 7 assists, 10 points in, I think, 21 games so far. So that's a good point. It probably wasn't just that shift, but at the same time, he was trying to get a guy a third goal instead of concentrating on winning the game. So that's going to piss a coach off, you would think. And he's in his 16th season, by the way. I can't fucking count anymore. Moving along, San Jose rookie, is it Joachim? I think Joachim Blichfield gets suspended 2 games for a hit on Nathan McKinnon. He got a match penalty. It was his first game of the season, just the 4th of his career. I didn't think it was intentional. I think he just kind of had him lined up, and he just caught him wrong because he cut him in the jaw. Mac missed the last couple of games. He should be back soon. Whit, did you get a look at this hit?
I'm sorry, I did not see that hit.
Biz, did you?
No, I'm still trying to think of that word.
He's still thinking of the word. Either way, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things you hate to see. Like I said, I don't think it was intentional. It wasn't like maybe Wilson's maliciousness. I think he was going for a hit and caught Mac on the jaw there that we've seen happen before. So, tough situation, but hopefully Mac will get back soon. Ryan Miller tied Dominik Hasek for the 14th most wins. Congrats to Ryan Miller. Still getting it done all these years later. Let's see. Any other notes from the West Division, Biz? Your Coyotes? Anything you want to chime in with? Or are you still going to worry about this word for the rest of the show?
They were down 2-0 to Minnie, and Minnie had worked them the night before and got out to a quick lead. All of a sudden, they came storming back. Garland just continues Biz.
I found
forward pace.
Selfless.
What is it?
It was selfless.
Okay.
But I will say, when I said other words for unselfish, when I typed it in, that
altruistic
came up.
That pretzeled your mind.
Altruistic. I don't think I'll ever be using altruistic, but selfless.
Well, you can use it.
As a head coach, I would never have sat a guy as being selfless. I would have been upset. I would have sat him down. I would maybe had a conversation with the team that, if there's an empty cage there, put it in the fucking net. Take the 2 points and run.
I'll tell you who does not have problems scoring, not on empty nets, but when they empty their net, the St. Louis Blues, 5 times this year they have tied a game with the goalie pulled. I think they won 4 of them. They lost it when they did it the other night, but that's crazy.
They had 3 goals, 6-on-5 when they pulled their goalie, I think, against the Coyotes one game.
Yeah.
At least 2. But
that does not last, though.
As far as the Coyotes are concerned, a big bounce back win against Minnesota, and they're kind of hovering. They're fighting for that 4th spot in my eyes in that Western Division. And I've said it time and time again. I'm very proud about the way the group's played, especially with the pressure that was coming into this season on the guys who have been paid these contracts, like the Dvorak, the Schmaltz, the Keller. Chychrun's been awesome. And Darcy Kemper has held up his side of the bargain. So Yotes are very pesky this year, and they're going to be a thorn in some team sides.
Did you see that clip of Chychrun behind the net the other night? He looked like you struggling for that word a minute ago. He stood there for a good 8 seconds, waiting for the play to start, and he looked like he was, I don't know, baffled about something. I don't know if you caught it or not.
No.
It was actually pretty funny.
He's a stallion.
Oh, yeah.
Handsome man rocket.
All right, what else we got here? Oh, yeah. We talked about coaches getting fired last week, and like I said, Vancouver, Jim Bennett came out and said, I'm not looking to make a coaching change regarding Travis Green. Well, Calgary, that wasn't the same case. They fired Jeff Ward. He's getting replaced by Darryl Sutter, who signed a 3-year deal this year and 2 more. Sutter, of course, coached the Flames back from 2002 through 2006. They lost the 2004 Cup to Tampa. Then he won 2 Cups in L.A. This will be his 20th season as an NHL coach. Jeff Ward took over for Bill Peters last year, kind of abruptly. I don't know what expected that to happen. He coached 42 games last year, just 24 this year.
I think you predicted it, didn't you? You said if one team would change their coach, it would be Calgary, right?
Yeah, well, we read the odds to be fired list last week, and he wasn't on it, which made no sense to me because, I thought he was probably the
So we talked about it with Marek. I'll summarize it as this. There's a lot of pressure within that organization to win right now. This same core group has been together. I think that Tree Livings has made some great moves in order to make them a very good lineup. They have not gotten the results that they need in order to have success. Time for some tough love. It's I would think as a GM, you never want to have to put your players. I'll go back to the Torts thing. It's tough having a coach like Torts because every day you come to the rink and you feel like you're walking on eggshells and you feel like it's never given up. And I played in the LA organization when Darryl was head coach there, especially after they'd already won the 2 cups. Even when they'd won 1 and they were going for their second, there's stories of the team having a team only meeting and not wanting him involved to the point where they'd go on an 8-game win streak with Darryl, and he'd be coming in the room grumpier than if they'd been on an 8-game losing streak. And that's just kind of how some of these guys are a little bit tapped. Yes, do they have short shelf lives? Yes, of course. When he took over for the Kings, I mentioned it again in the Marek interview, he hadn't coached for 6 fucking seasons. So the whole I don't know, can he come back and turn this thing around? Well, I don't know. He did it and won 2 cups, so I'm pretty sure he could be able to do it again. Does it suck for the guys in that locker room to now? I would imagine there's going to be a lot more accountability and a lot harder practicing and a lot more coach in your ear telling you to wake the fuck up constantly. But Tree Living gave them the opportunity to have an easier coach and essentially do it themselves, and they weren't able to do it. So they left them with no choice. And I think that type of lineup will do well under a Darryl Sutter. I mean, their first game against Edmonton, at least for the first 2 periods, they looked awesome. They limited their scoring chances. There was a shit ton of fights. Obviously, guys trying to establish their game and get back to that hard-nosed hockey. The McDavid show showed up, and they ended up losing 3-2. But it had to be done, and it's kind of do or die with this core group. And if they can't figure it out in this short period of time, I would assume. Much like who's the other team? Much like Buffalo, and I'm not comparing the two as how bad it is, but there probably are going to have to be some off-season moves if they can't figure things out quick. They got to shake things up. No wit? Yeah, at some point?
My favorite thing, Millionaire's Row. Millionaire's Row when he scratches all the men making all the millions.
Go have a seat down there at the end of the bench, Millionaire's Row.
Yep.
Yeah, Sutter actually he didn't coach Saturday night. He's going to be there for the next.
Oh,
game,
okay. Well, fuck me.
No, but what was interesting, he got fired after a 7-3 win. Usually guys get shit canned after a loss, so obviously they didn't care what he did.
Well, that wasn't the case with who else just went through that.
Claude
Claude Julien was also.
They should have won, but they technically lost. Well, they did lose it, so easy to fire a guy. Of course, we already mentioned Montreal firing goaltender coach Stefan Waite, replaced him with Burke. Carey Price looked pretty good Saturday night. Obviously, keep an eye on that. Toronto had a 2-2 week. They're still leading the NHL in points. Back-to-back shutouts from their backup goalies before Freddie got back in the crease. Biz, I know you like the Zach Hyman, Mike Smith battling in the crease.
I mean, he was a thorn in Smitty's side in that game, and I tweeted out, Hyman didn't look like he left the ice in the third period, and such an underrated player along with the rest of his line mates on that checking line for Toronto, and Toronto looks dangerous. Look out, Leafs Nation. Dum, 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 dum.
Well, Biz, whether you're looking for a head coach, an assistant coach, a trainer, finding great candidates to hire can be tough. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/chiclets. ZipRecruiter does the work for you. When you post a job on ZipRecruiter, it gets sent out to over 100 top job sites with one click. Then, ZipRecruiter's matching technology finds people with the right skills and experience for your job and actively invites them to apply. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other services may overwhelm you with applications to sift through, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for, the needle in the haystack. In fact, ZipRecruiter is so effective that 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/chiclets. That's ziprecruiter.com/chiclets. That's CHICLETS. One more time for the folks in the back, to go to ziprecruiter.com/chiclets. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Speaking of hiring, Biz, there's a good article in The Athletic. I think it came out last week. The trade deadline list. They have a big board of who they think the most likely guys to go are. Let's see, there's a 28-name list, and then they actually came out with another list today or yesterday with 12 other names of guys who could go. I mean, there's some fucking talent on these lists. I'll rattle them off here with Matthias Ekholm, Jack Eichel, Chris Driedger, Philipp Forsberg, Richard Raquel, Clayton Keller, Dylan Strome.
Clayton Keller's on a trade list?
Well, they got him. I mean, again, this is their take. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean GMs are shopping these guys. This is just what reporters consider their trade board. Yeah, he's got 6 years more left at $7.15 million. Bottom line is there's a lot of good players on here. You got to think some of these guys are going to get flipped, especially, a lot of teams feel they can win it this year probably.
Who do you guys think are the biggest name? I would say Taylor Hall's got to be a pretty big name on that list.
What's funny, he's only number 24. I mean, I would think he's probably going to be one of the guys GMs are going to be calling for. He'd be a nice little fit going into the playoffs.
I mean, especially with I hate to bring up the Coyotes because people are going to think I'm a homer, but I mean, if they're probably not in a playoff position, they have a couple old veteran defensemen that would probably be great additions to team. I mean, Alex Goligoski, you play with him a little bit, Whit, very reliable on the back end. He can help out with like a second PP unit. I mean, I don't know if he's going to want to move, but Nicholas Jarmelson, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, great shutdown defenseman, great penalty killer, block shot. So the Coyotes definitely have some assets that they could move in order to gain some drafting position, something that they don't really have much of. But yeah, no, it should be interesting, especially with what the conversation was with Marek and in like the 2-week quarantine. So Canadian teams will probably be less likely to make moves than the rest of the divisions.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that if I could possibly look to like add a depth guy, right? If I'm a team that's like, all right, I just want to get a little tougher, a little meaner, a little harder to play against. What about Sam Bennett? Dude, he's going to be RFA, right? So you're going to ask for a little bit more in return, but I don't know, man. That guy seems like such a playoff type player to me.
Well, I think that Daryl's probably going to want to see what he can do under him.
Very true.
Because that's a very Daryl Sutter type player. Now, I was kind of wondering this, and I don't think he fits the mold just because he hasn't been able to produce maybe the same amount of offense. But who's the Blake Coleman out there that somebody can add right now? who's that type of player that's up for trade to add, like that depth guy who can provide offense, who's like a reliable third line player. And I mean, that to me, it's tough to go get like the first line center or a highly skilled guy, but you could probably, I mean, mind you, they gave up quite a bit for Coleman. I think they gave up 2 first-rounders, didn't they?
Yeah, it wasn't a cheap price.
No, not 2, I don't think.
I don't know. We'll have to Google it.
Yeah, that's a good call. And I think of Coleman, I think of like he can skate, right? So it's very hard to get that kind of combination. It's why he's so effective in terms of like wearing other teams down, because that line was just nobody could really handle them because their speed was so nice, and then they played physical. And I mean, Ekholm being number 1 on that list makes a lot of sense. I mean, his cap hits 3.75.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
And the way he can move, and like he's big, he's strong. Oh, any team that needs a D-man, you're calling about him. You get him for another year, too, at 3.75. So that would certainly be a return Nashville's going to be looking for. I don't want to say a ton, but they're not going to give him away, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Biz, that trade, the Devils got Nolan Foote, a young prospect, and they ended up getting Vancouver's 2020 first-round pick because Tampa already had it. The conditions were if Vancouver's pick is a lottery pick, the 2020 first-round pick will transfer to a 2021 first-rounder. So,
all right, one first-rounder.
Well, yeah, one. I believe Foote was.
I was half right.
Well, Foote was taken in the first round, so I guess you were
very, very selfless of New Jersey to only take one first-round pick.
Yeah, good stuff.
Class acts.
Yeah, man. Obviously, there's a ton of UFAs here. If these teams are out of the playoffs, I mean, why wouldn't you fucking trade them? It would make no sense not to, I guess. Well, obviously, we'll keep tabs on all the trades going on. Teams want to line up. They want to definitely have a little insurance going into the playoffs. And speaking of insurance, insurance can be complicated. That's why the Zebra was created. When you use thezebra.com, insurance finally feels like it's in black and white. No more confusion, just honest rates from real companies. The Zebra is the nation's leading insurance comparison site for car and home insurance. They can help you save money today. It's so easy. Go to thezebra.com and answer a few questions to compare accurate insurance quotes for free. And don't worry, the Zebra protects your personal information and makes sure there are no hidden fees or surprises along the way. The best part, you can secure your insurance from thezebra.com or over the phone from one of their licensed insurance agents. How much money can you save on car or home insurance? Visit thezebra.com/chiclets. That's THEZEBRA.com/chiclets, CHICLETS, for insurance in black and white. All right, gang. This is a nice story. Brian O'Reilly's mom, Bonnie, she donated a kidney to a family friend, Graham Nesbitt. He used to let Ryan and his brother Cal get extra time at the rink as young kids. And he needed a kidney, and the O'Reilly's mom donated her kidney, man. And I know we had a couple of coworkers at Barstool, Granelli, Jordan Berry and Jake Lasowski have done the same thing. I had a buddy who did it for his aunt up in South Boston. And, I mean, you talk about selfless and altruistic, Biz. I mean,
it's all coming full circle. I knew there was a reason why I needed to find that word. That is incredible. Now, so a kidney is basically just, it kind of like filters out all the junk in your body, correct?
Yeah, more or less. You get 2 of them. So some people can live with one. Some people only born with one. And some people, if they don't get a new one, if they have 2, won't live much longer. And someone, if they're a match, they'll donate.
I mean, I didn't know much about it other than the fact that it's, that's a pretty hardcore thing. And it obviously takes surgery and a recovery time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this ain't like growing your hair long, donating for a transplant. Yeah, it's painful. You got to go through a huge operation, taking out a major organ. So it's not something people do very lightly, that's for sure. So,
well, kudos to her. Yeah. And the other, you mentioned there was 2 other people at Barstool that had done it recently, G?
Yeah, which is pretty crazy that in a company of like 250 people that 2 people have done it. But it's Jake Lasowski, who helped us out with the ECHL Player Relief Fund series. He edited all those this summer. And then Jordan Berry, a good friend of mine. So it's a pretty cool thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's unreal.
Yeah, it's crazy
Stick
stuff.
taps.
Yeah,
Stick taps.
No doubt about it. All right, gang, this is a tough story we got to bring up. Mark Pavlich, he assisted on Mike Eruzioni's game-winning goal at the 1980 Miracle Team USA squad. He died at age 63. I guess he was living in a mental health treatment facility in Minnesota. I guess he had gotten arrested for assaulting a neighbor a couple years ago, and the judge ruled he wasn't fit to stand trial. He just he's not mentally fit. So he was living in a facility, and I guess they found him dead in his room the other morning. His sister said back in 2019 she suspected he probably would have CTE given his history of concussions. It's just a sad, terrible ending for a guy who was on such a grand stage, part of American history, and then just to have it end like this, it's heartbreaking, it's awful, and we're terribly sorry to the family and friends of Mark Witt. I know you obviously are a fan of Team USA and all that history. I didn't know if you wanted to weigh in here.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking for sure. It just shows it's like as incredible a career he had or moment he had being a gold medal winner on that team. It's like the game's just a game, right? I mean, doesn't matter if you win Stanley Cups, doesn't matter what you do. It's like your life after. And that's what we always talk about and how hard it can be for players. And you see somebody who certainly had like mental illness, right? It's so sad because it doesn't matter at all to him what happened before in his life. Like he should be so proud, and it just shows that in the end for so many people that doesn't matter. And that's a guy who did something that is so memorable, will live on forever. And all of his buddies that he did it with, all these guys who made the impossible come true, like they lost one of their brothers. And it sucks because for so long, I think he's been battling, illness and demons, and his teammates weren't able to help, and not saying anyone could. So it's just such a sad way to see a memorable person in USA hockey and somebody who did something that was so incredible with a group of others to tragically die at a young age. And say what you want, 63 is young now, and so I feel so bad for his family, and you feel for people who cared a lot about him and loved him, and just to see it all go down the way it did after a moment that he should have been flying high on the rest of his life. It is heartbreaking.
Well said, Whit. Again, our deepest sympathies to family, friends, and teammates of Mark. Terribly sad to see the news. Last week, we talked about Bob Probert, Jody Shelley. A lot of people enjoyed that story. Well, a friend of Bob's reached out to me, and they wanted to have us mention that his wife, Danny, and a family friend, Mal Lang, are raising money for the Probert Memorial, which is they're going to build a hospital wing for cardiac care in his name. So if you want to make a donation or a merch purchase that will benefit the fund, you can go to DetroitsRealBadBoys.com, just like it sounds, no apostrophes, DetroitsRealBadBoys.com. Again, if you want to just make a donation or get some of the merch to help out, that would be a great thing if they can get a cardiac wing built in Probert's honor. So, like I said, someone reached out, wanted us to pass along. We were happy to do that. Probert is a legend, so no problem there. In our final story, don't worry, we're going to leave you. Well, it's not a happy note, but we can at least have a laugh, I guess. Our boy Memes was barred from Instagram.
That's succeed.
Spittin Chiclets Memes.
You might get a lifetime ban, folks. This is serious shit.
Yeah. I mean,
can't lose Memes.
It's this guy. The video of him, man. I mean, I've hung out with him and talked to him. It almost feels like he's joking with you, like he's trying to be like a stereotypical Canadian. But when that video dropped, I think people thought he was doing a character. Like what is?
No, that's Memes.
That exactly like that. What kind of a Canadian accent is that? Biz? Like what region?
It's Memes. he's from Memes land.
He's an internet outlaw. He abides by his own rules. There's no rules that apply to Memes.
So we'll give you the rundown here. So apparently he broke some Instagram rules as far as like copyright infringement because he was putting our faces on some silly videos. He got nipped in the butt. They took down his account. We're hoping. Why'd you laugh? Nipped in the butt?
Nipped in the butt.
Right now we're hoping for a 30-day suspension. And Gaz from Barstool is trying to work on getting his account back that had 170,000 followers. We may not get it back. And Memes may have to go on Sussy, but we would probably create another one, I'd imagine, and try to get that back going because it's something that we get to share with our fan base. That's like all the underground jokes and all the silly stuff for our hardcore listeners, and which tells us that we have about 170,000 of them. So we're gonna do what we can for you guys, folks, because obviously we enjoy getting some laughs out of it as well. After he posterizes us with some of these things that he creates,
and Spittin Chiclets memes will never die.
If he's gone, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like I need Memes. I wait after every show and try to think what he's gonna meme, and then once they pop up a couple day or two after the show, I just love them and laugh. So Memes, we're thinking of you, and that is not an act. That is Memes to the core. Dip in, playing video games, thinking of Memes with a Gone with the Wind poster behind him. Shout out memes. R.I.P.
He'll get back. I'm sure if he has to start another account, everybody will just follow him again. I don't think it'll be a problem building up. Everybody will be aware. So
I will remember you.
I can't hit those. I can't hit those high notes today. We know that. All right, gang. That'll wrap up episode 323. It's been a long week. We had a good time, a lot of fun. Enjoyed the episode, and we'll catch you later.